Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Championship, to stage 5 of the competition. Yesterday was a non-competition day for our riders, which means many of them were out and about. My name's Matt Payne. I am going to be bringing you all of the race action here in the men's race, and going to be joined a little bit later by Emma Martin, who will be making her way in here when she's finished covering the women's race. The studio has been busy with us, doing lots of notes, keeping up to date with where everybody's at, keeping an eye on the social media feeds as well. I even managed to get a spin in myself, and hopefully the riders have managed to spun their legs out over the last few hours or so that they're all ready for stage 5, because having some rest is going to be key, because we have got an absolutely monster stage today. This is the Arabian Extreme Mountain stage. You can see we come from the start, we go up the Jebel Hafeet, we drop back down, and then we finish where we finish stage 4 at the top of the Jebel Hafeet. What a monster! And it is reflected in that course profile. As you can see, 1,735 meters of climbing. We have 898 meters in the big climb in the center, the horse category Jebel Hafeet climb. And that is a 16.8k ascent and an identical descent, because we go up, spin around the top, and then drop back down again. Then we transfer across to the final climb of the day, the Jebel Hafeet, and anyone who was watching before will know just how tough that is. And we've got some climbing early on just to really do some damage to legs. Along the way, we have our 5 sprints as well. In terms of the sprints, there are still 25 points available today, 50 in total, including the final stage 7. The mountain points today are 25, and that is because there are extra points. Normally for a category 4, that is a top point score of 5 points. For a category 1, that is ramped up to 10, and for the horse category, taking a top spot will take away 15 points. Absolutely monster score. And of course, all the points below that increase as well relatively as we go through. So big climbing day. And of these climbs, we have a little kicker just to bring ourselves into the Jebel Hafeet, and that is it might only be 94 meters, but at an average gradient of 2.8%. It's going to be tough stuff, and that's quite ramped, and that runs us in and through. So our sprinters are going to have to make some decisions in the sprint competition. They're going to have to make some decisions in the mountains competition, and they're going to have to look at where they are at in the overall. And we've got a lot of riding under our riders' legs, bring them in here. Remember that this is our third to last stage. Tomorrow we have our time trial, which is essentially a flat 40-kilometer time trial, and then we have the final 70k stage with 2 4 category climbs. It's going to be really interesting to see how these riders get on. Now, let's kick off with the riders in red today. They're going to be our category 4 riders. There are the riders who get to go away first and sample the delights of what is an extreme mountain stage. We're in with Cristiano Kennup here. Let's take a look at our teams who are still in that team competition. So we've got Team Alpha in here. They've got Al-Sayedi as well as Amr sitting in the 8th and 9th positions. We've got Saddle Squad in Lloyd, our Masters leader, but they've also got 3rd and 5th in the general classification, with Mayad and Dromard as well. And at the moment, Mayad only 6 minutes off, and that sounds a lot, but it's not going to be a lot when we come into the end of the mountains, I suspect. Our red racers, well, Kennup we saw, but they've got Michael Suarez. He's our leader. He's got 8 hours, 29 minutes and 46 seconds of racing in his wheels. He's the fastest rider covering the ground, but they also have Ospina Hernandez in 2nd place. Now, one of 2 brothers to take a win on the top of the Jebel Hafeet last time, Enrico Quadrelli. And Quadrelli doing an amazing job. He's currently our leader of the King of the Mountains overall. He has really been absolutely flying. 2 stage wins along the way on stage 2 and on stage 4. But watch out for Alex Pleasure, because they also have the sprint leader as well. Brilliant racing from the teams in Category 4, and they have been fighting for the team standings. So the standings at the moment, the Red Racers lead the team competition from Sprocket Science, then it's the Saddle Squad, followed by Team Alpha in that order. So the Red Racers, aided by those two riders right up there on GC, so that is Suarez in 1 and Ospina Hernandez in 2. And in fact, their third counters the rider in 6th place overall. That's Cristiano Kennop. So no wonder they're right up at the top of the standings. Good riding by the Red Racers to take that at the moment. They've got to try and hold on to that from the Sprocket Science squad, from the Saddle Squad and Team Alpha. But we'll see how those teams get on as we go through. Now, in the King of the Mountains, we've already mentioned that we've got Enrico Quadrelli. He is in top spot, 35 points. At the moment, he is currently 12 points clear of Michael Suarez. Then it's Dromar, Pablo, and then Ospina Hernandez. However, remember, today is a massive, massive, massive point scoring opportunity, because we have that horse category climb and a first category climb, and that means today there are 25 points on offer for winning both, if somebody can achieve that. And in the mountains competition, there are 35 points left. So it realistically could come down to who can climb well. Quadrelli has proven he could do that, taking the stage win on the top of the Hafeet already. Now, in terms of the points competition, a little bit clearer. Alex Pleasure at the moment is at 72 points. He is clear at the moment by 29 points. That's by 31 points from Cristiano Kennop. Then it's Michael Suarez, followed by Quadrelli and Dromard. And you see these same names here, but Pledger very much concentrating on the sprint competition. And in terms of sprint points left, there are 50 points in total left. So when a rider has got a bigger gap than there are points left available, they will get themselves into prime spot. Be very interested to see who is going to take away the win in that competition. Let's have a look at who was our big scorers in terms of stage 4 in category 4. So as you can see, Quadrelli took the points in the King of the Mountains. This is for stage 4 only, of course. Enrico Quadrelli taking away the yellow, and that is the rider who took the top spot in terms of the overall time. He took the stage win. Alex Pleasure took the sprints win on the day, and Ian Lloyd took the Masters win on the day, with nobody qualifying in that under 23 youth competition in the white. So Pleasure, Quadrelli, and Lloyd, the big scorers on stage 4 in category 4, and that really did boost Quadrelli right up the standings in terms of the overall. But at the moment, he's not moved himself into a position to challenge the overall standings. We'll see if that's going to be the case as they move out and away. Remember, of course, this is about who has got not just the fastest sprint or the fastest climb of the mountain, but who can get to the end in one piece. Who's done the best recovery? Well, we are about to find out. So here we go, lined up and ready for stage 5, our extreme mountain stage, the Queen stage of all of our racing here on the MyWhoosh Championships. Category 4, lined up, ready to go. Let's get underway. Let's get ourselves out on the course and let's get some racing done here in the MyWhoosh Championships. Away we go. 70 kilometers, 1,735 meters of climbing, 2 categorized climb, but very little flat road for the riders on the way through. We come out with Cristiano Kennop, a rider who really has set the roads alight out there and on a great form. And of course, riding for the leading squad at the moment, they are the Red Racers, who have been looking very, very strong all the way through the competition. So as you can see, these riders away, you can see that green jersey in there at the moment, just moving its way up and through. You can see the Masters jersey as well. So the riders come sweeping around this long sweeping bend here, and our polka dot jersey in there as our mountains leader. And these riders continue to push onwards here and trying to just keep the stretch on at the moment. So in with Al Harabi, he has had a great ride so far. Al Harabi, a great result on stage 3, 8th place in that. His primary top 10 position. Just in with Michael Suarez, he's our leader. Will he be able to take away the overall lead when he comes in? His race time, 8 hours, 29 minutes, 46 seconds. He is the leader in terms of the overall competition. Now, he's actually flying in terms of the sprints and the mountains. He's currently third in the sprints, second in the mountains competition. He's had 2 stage wins on stage 1 and on stage 3. Will it be all the uneven numbers? Will it be 1, 3, 5, and 7? Well, we will see. I'm sure all the other riders will be wanting to knock him off the top of the standings. But Michael Suarez has shown that he can climb when it comes to the mountains. His 3rd place in that run for the line, a fantastically exciting run into the finish. And if you haven't seen the previous races, make sure you keep an eye on them. Some great sprinting from Alex Pleasure. So Alex is our sprint leader. He is currently 7th in the overalls, but his point score of 72 in there, showing that he really is focusing on the sprints competition. Not in the top 5 of the mountains competition, because he has been focusing on getting as many sprint points as he can. And don't forget, of course, we have a real mix of riders in here. Just going to take a little bit of a hunt through. So Booth here at the moment looking good. 2 top 10 results in his competition so far in the racing, and again out of those pens nicely. Now we do have quite a run to the first of our sprints. The first sprint, the Dubai sprint, at 3.3 kilometers. So that is the first time when we should see Alex Pleasure looking to extend his lead further at the top of the sprint competition. And the first day back after a rest day, the first few 100 meters are quite often the time when the riders are settling back into race action. But look at this Booth Air up on the front of the race, getting TV time, and just putting a little bit of a kick on here, just stretching it out, just warming those legs up. Joined by Al Harabi at the moment. So Theb and Al Harabi at the front. You can just see the rest of that group, though. Not going to let them go too far down the road today. And I suspect that's going to be the case, particularly when we've got the mountains. You don't want to give away too much time. And I don't think anybody really is going to stretch the legs until we hit the climbing. Energy expended today is going to come at a major cost. If you expend it early, you're going to pay later, and getting fueled up is going to be really key today. Now, one of the advantages, of course, of riding on esports is that you can have a mass of food around you. So when I go out and ride on a long stage or a long day out on the road, what I'll be looking to do is make sure that I've got my back pockets on my jersey stuffed full of food. I'm going to have loads of energy fuel on board there. I'm going to have hydro tab in there maybe, or something that's an isotonic drink down in the bottles, 2 big bottles probably on for as long day, and then try and pick up stuff on the food, in drink from the team cars, etc. Now, when you are riding, you've got limited capacity on the bike, and you are reliant on things like team cars. When you are riding on esports, on MyWhoosh, you have the advantage, and we see riders almost surrounded by a almost U-shaped desk where they've got the fan down in front of them, you've got the keyboard up at top, and you've got either side the desk alongside, so that either side they can pick up bottles, food, fuel. And today, actually having the space to have all that there is going to be key, or to have somebody alongside to keep on fueling you up. And it's going to be particularly tricky for this man, Alex Pleasure, because Pleasure has got to get in some good sprints here. He'll be wanting to seal that competition. He has 2 sprints, 1 short climb, then the massive mountain of the Jebel Hafeet. Then we have 2 sprints coming almost immediately off the descent. Then we go into our final climb. So he's got 2, a 1, and a 2. Those are the point scoring opportunities, and he's going to have to make a decision how he does that. Now, here we go into the first of our sprints here at 3.3, and you can see Pleasure coming from the back of the group, laying off the group, and now picking up the speed on the way through. In this group, well, it doesn't look like we've got too many people contesting the sprint, but what it's doing, it's allowing him to have a target here. He's going to try and get into the draft and pick up some draft on the way through. He came in a long way off the back. That should be enough for him to pick up the sprint time. So great technique shown there by Pleasure coming through. He is the rider who is absolutely flying. But the sprint time, it looks like Thayeb is going to take that. He went on the front there and led out from the start. So it's Thayeb from Pleasure, from Kenup, and then Bouama, followed by Jan Decker. Good to see the Sprocket Science rider scoring points there in that sprint competition as well. Interestingly, riders like Suarez and Quadrelli, Lloyd all sitting out and away from that. Hernandez doing the same. And really, as you look at those numbers, you've got 3s and 4 watts per kilo. Your top 3 riders, 8.4, 8.4, 9.1 watts per kilo, and sitting well over double the watts of the vast majority of the rest of the riders in that competition. So category 4 looking very, very interesting already in that sprint competition. So category 1, just waiting for our riders to jump down onto the start. SS looking very attentive, getting nice and early. And then we've got category 2 in green, category 3 in blue, and category 4 in the red. They are on the right-hand side of your screen. These riders all facing the same course here today. So don't forget, the riders, when they go through, have the sprints on the way through. We've just seen the first one in category 4. That was at 3.3K. The next sprint will come at 7.1 kilometers. And as you can see from the top right-hand side of your screen, that they do have some undulating terrain between here and there, but it is only undulating, where it's no long climbing sections, no really long climbing stages on the way. That's between the sprints. It is just undulations in the road, and those will test the riders as they come in through the line, in along that line in towards the next of our sprints. So approaching 5 kilometers already. So pretty much halfway along. So we'll see how they are progressing at the moment. Same with Cristiano Kenup, and really interesting on this undulation. We dipped, and then we're on the rise here, just stretching out here a little bit as the. I think as much as anything, the riders just taking their time to pick the pace up and just squeeze on the pedals. There'll be a lot of people wanting to save energy for as late in the day. And that certainly looks to be reflected in there for me by the amount of effort that they're putting in. So at the moment, Al Harabi and Thayeb just with a 2-second lead off the front of the pack at the moment. You can just see the 2 riders just up in front, leading the riders downtown on the way through the Dubai downtown. Going to be heading across to the Sharjah sprint. That's going to be the next of our sprints on circuit. And just riding in with Al Harabi, 145 beats per minute. Nice pedal revs there, 88 revs per minute. A nice, smooth cadence, which is going to help him on his way through. That's just spin those legs out. If you sit somewhere near the 90 marker, generally you're going to be a little bit smoother, and I think a lot of our riders will want to be pushing on and just squeezing out something a little bit easier. Now in with Ian Lloyd, our Masters leader at the moment in that Masters jersey, a jersey he's taken pretty much from start to this stage in the race. Ian Lloyd's been riding really well, and it's great to see that he's proving that the riders in that Masters competition can be competitive. Ian Lloyd currently in 10th position overall, 23 minutes 55 down, a second place on stage 1, but holding the jersey. Now let's head into our category 3 competition. You can see the riders lined up here, and this has been another fantastic fight in between the riders. Our teams in the running for the team competition still, so Vuelta Colombia, their team still in that fight, and of the Colombian squad, Cacajal, the rider who has 3rd place overall. He's 30 seconds down on our race leader, so very close indeed. The Battlers team, well, they are also in that fight. They've got second place Michael Phillips, a rider who has cemented that with his rides in the mountains competition, and a win on stage 3 as well. Now, the MyWhoosh Beasts are in as well in that team competition. And they have our current race leader, that is Stepan Hadina, in there. They've got, of course, the Masters leader, and that is Taylor Consolin in as well. And Hadina, a really quick rider, taking second place on stage 3, beating that at stage 2. So he's got a 6th, a 1st, a 2nd, and a 4th. But his time, 8 hours, 40 minutes and 38 for his winning time at the moment, but he only leads by 7 seconds in the overall competition. So it is incredibly close at the top in terms of GC at the moment. So Heath Exley, the rider we're just sitting in with here, just looking at his heart rate, he's pretty calm. Will he stay calm when we see the team standings? Well, the Battlers currently ahead of Vuelta Colombia, and then the MyWhoosh Beasts. That's the order of the standing at the moment. The Battlers with riders in terms of the top 10 in 2nd and 6th place overall. Phillips in 2nd, Dadson in 6th. They've got the leader of the sprints competition in Carl Taiselius. They've got the leader of the mountains competition in Phillips. So a really strong squad, and absolutely jam-packed full of riders who are regulars on the Sunday Race Club as well. And maybe showing that by racing the Sunday Race Club, you keep yourself in tip-top condition for racing in the championships as well. In terms of the King of the Mountains competition, well, the second Quadrelli in here, this is Enrico Quadrelli. He's 35 points at the top of the standings from Michael Suarez. Then it's Florian Dromar, followed by Juan Pablo, and then Carlos Ospina. And they are currently separated by a substantial number of points. The riders in 3rd to 1st from the rest. And realistically, this is still wide open now. Quadrelli put in a great performance. Both Quadrelli brothers doing a great job racing yesterday, and I have to say, keeping us very entertained. It was lovely to see the shots of them coming up the mountain, and they both lead the competition. So great to see that as they come in through. So let's keep a check on them as they go in. Now let's keep an eye on these riders. So our sprints are standing. The category 3 riders in here. This is Carl Taiselius leading that sprint standing competition. And you got Daniel Gomez, Taylor Gonzalez, Filippo Quadrelli, and Esteban Morales in that. Now, Taiselius is not clear in the lead here on the long way through. So let's see how they go. We've got Carl Taiselius currently sitting just ahead of Taylor Gonzalez. Now, Daniel Gomez in there from Taiselius. That is not a huge gap. 18 points separating the riders. And remember, we still have 50 sprint points, so as many points almost as Gomez has now. So it's none of these riders really out of this, and it could be really interesting to see. Carl Taiselius a regular again on that Sunday Race Club. So let's see if he can pick this up on the way through. Can he add to his standings? A tough day for our sprinters today. Traditionally, sprinters and mountains are definitely not compatible. Okay, let's have a quick look up at the winners from stage number 4 in grade 3. So let's take a check on these riders. And it is Filippo Quadrelli who took the stage overall. He also took the mountains competition for the day. We also have Daniel Gomez scoring in the points competition for the day. Stepan Hadina taking the young riders competition on the day, and Taylor Gonzalez taking the riders of the day. But in between, remember, we've had our non-competition day. It's definitely not a rest day. It's definitely not for us in the studio and behind the scenes at MyWhoosh, and it's definitely, I don't think, been a rest day for the riders. We've seen lots of different riders with different strategies yesterday on the non-competition day. Some people just doing a little spin, some people riding a long way. We've got other riders going out and swimming. We've got riders doing all sorts of things to try and make sure that they are all in tip-top shape on the way through. So Category 4 approaching 10 kilometers. Category 3 getting ready for their race start. So let's have a look at the riders in Category 3. It looks like we've got a good mix in there. They're ready. We go across to Category 4 because we have our sprint winner of Sprint 2. And look at that, Alex Pleasure. Pleasure coming through. So Dubai Sprint, Sharjah Sprint, and it's Alex Pleasure in Category 4 who is looking like he is continuing to push on. Now, has he done enough to secure the win? Not quite, but he is getting there. That's probably the best description. Kennup scored 2 points, so Pleasure's gap over Kennup has opened up by 3 points. But I think he's going to have to now contest the sprints that come on the other side of the first climb and the other side of our big mountain of the Jebel Hafeet if he wants to secure the points overall. So the riders are looking like that continuation of the sprints competition is going to happen, which is great to see here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Experienced riders are battling it out like Kennup with some of our newer riders like Pleasure, and it's continuing here on the championships with Category 4, the right-hand side of the screen. They're going to hit 10K as we get ready to go in with our starters in Category 3 on the left. So Category 4 on the right, Category 3 on the left. We're into the last 2 minutes. So final preparations for the riders in Category 3. Remember, we have a huge list of riders who are fighting it out for that title. 8 hours, 40 minutes, 38 seconds of riding for Stefan Hedina. Stefan Hedina, the rider who is leading overall. He's also our leading youth rider overall. He's the rider who has a top spot. Will he be able to take that out as he goes out from here? You can see him actually on the left-hand side of your screen. I'm pretty sure that's him with the yellow bandana, the yellow socks, and the yellow bike. So it looks like he's personalised his kit as much as he can. He should be wearing that yellow skin suit as we set off, hopefully. Then the green jerseys on the right-hand side there. That is going to be Kartai Salius. Carl, one of our regular riders on Sunday Race Club, a winner. And don't forget, you could grab a picture. If you want to know what Kartai Salius looks like when he's racing, rather than what his avatar looks like, you can match the two together on the YouTube channel. A great video done by Jeff. And I know Jeff watching the coverage over. And currently he's actually out in the Puerto Palencia region of Mallorca. So enjoying the coverage, and good to see he's out enjoying himself and watching and keeping up to date with all the coverage whilst we're here bringing you all of the images as well of the racing. So here we go. Category 3, 30 seconds to go into that last rundown, the final moments where these riders have to be ready. They know this is it. We're back at it. We're back at the coalface. It's time to get back to work, everybody, because we are going off and there's going to be some trepidation. The epic mountain stage, the most extreme mountain stage we have here, ready to go. Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Championships, and we run in to the go, and away our riders come out from those pens. So the raiders out and moving. This is where they've got to keep pushing because they have got a big old day at the office. And again, massive climbs, 1,735 meters of climbing, 5 sprints, 2 King of the Mountains, one of which is a horse category climb. It's 15k up and it's 15k down, and that is going to be tough stuff. Now, just keeping an eye on Kartai Salius here, the rider we were just talking about, nicely tucked into that group in that green skin suit. He is looking good at the moment, having taken that sprint. There's 76 points in the sprint, and really interesting, that's really been what he's focused on. So he's not in the top 10 of the overall competition. He's not in the top 5 in the mountains competition. He's not been there in the sprint, in the stage finishes in the top 10. What he has been doing is cleaning up in the sprint, and that is reflected by that green jersey. He's right alongside, in fact, our yellow jersey and white jersey holder. That's the same row. That's Stefan Adina. And they're just sitting at the back of this group. They've got a little way to go to get into the sprint, but they'll be looking to score big in that competition. And interestingly, that Adina in the sprints competition is sitting in 5th place with 15 points. So clearly a talented all-round rider. Yeah, Carl coming out, heart rate of 124. And Carl's pedal revs only 70. It's relatively low. So riders now make the way in category 4, 11.46k, and that means that they're about halfway up the climb that takes them in and over through the tunnels. Now, we've seen this tunnel climb repeatedly on Sunday Race Club. We see it now on the championship again. We've used this a number of times, and it is a really tough climb. So this comes up through the tunnels. We exit out onto the lake with the waterfall on the rider's left. We then drop down. There's a slight riser on the descent where it kicks up and then drops again. 2 riders breaking clear by 10 seconds. Al Harabi and Mayer at the moment with a gap. They're climbing well. They've got a nice tempo by the look of it here, and both riding together. So Mayad and Harabi, the 2 riders at the front of this group. And the rest of the pack don't look to be putting in too much of a concerted chase. You can see that the numbers on the pack behind generally pretty much low. They won't want them to get much more than about 10 or 12 seconds as they come up here. But behind the chase is on Dromard, trying to bridge across to our 2 leaders. So Florian Dromard, he's on the attack. He's going to try and come across. He's on to the wheels. Here he comes. So that's Dromard joining there. Next up is going to be David Nowak, and this chase across is dragging them up one by one. Behind Nowak is Quadrelli. You can see he's in that polka dot skin suit of the mountain climbing jersey, and this is what tends to happen. So you've got a group of riders. You maybe have 2 in front. Then it becomes 3, then it becomes 4, and then it becomes really worrying for the riders behind, because at some point they will end up with a bigger mass in front than behind. And when we drop over the top of this climb, the bigger group will have the biggest advantage in terms of speed and drafting, and that is really, really key. And you can tell the riders that are drafting, they're the riders who have their watts in green on the left-hand side of your screen, not in black. So if we're watching Quadrelli at the moment, he's sat in the bunch. He's not up at the front, he's in green. He moves out to the right-hand side of that bunch up near the front. He goes into black. That's when he's then being exposed to the wind coming at him. And this whole group has come back together again. Now, they might have let the 2 riders go clear and stayed clear for a little bit longer, but that was not going to be the case when they started getting some of the bigger, more experienced riders and those riders who are going to figure on the overall up there. So the moment that you started to see Dromard come across to his teammate Maillard, so 5th and 3rd in the overall, then suddenly you saw Nike deciding, no, I'm having about part of this, because he's riding in 4th place, and he will want to keep in touch. On a different team, but he would have wanted to come in and be in touch. Quadrelli, well, we know he's right up in the mix, and again, he would have wanted to move up. So real interesting tactics unfolding on the climb. They're going to come out of the tunnels on the right-hand side, and they're going to go start dropping down off this climb. Left-hand side of your screen, category 3, who set off behind them. They're currently at 2.6k. Remember, it's 3.3k for the start of the sprint. So in category 3, we're looking to see whether it's Taisadis who's going to be able to take this. Will he be challenged by Gonsolin? Will it be Gomez Valencia in there? Let's keep an eye left-hand side for the sprint, right-hand side for the top of the climb. And as you can see, the gradient now eases. We come out of the tunnels as the gradient drops to basically 0% here. We're now into the descent, and anybody not in this group will now find it very hard to get back on again. I think most of the riders making the junction. So they're over the top as one group, and we're dropping in with category 3 here for the first of our sprints at 2.98, now 3 kilometers. So let's have a watch. Let's see who is going to kick on here. Quadrelli nicely tucked it in here. But remember, that green jersey is the man from Sweden. That's Taisadis. He's the rider who's looking to take this on. He'll be looking to add to his point score. So here we go. We're going to take a little bit of a look back in here. So looks like the squeeze is coming on. Here goes the start. Let's have a watch back. We're taking a little look behind these riders. It looks like Staples moving up and pushing on, but you're seeing the big numbers coming through. Can putting over some big watts, but look at the kick coming from Hadina. Big red numbers coming in as they continue to push, and we're seeing that green jersey rocketing its way in through the group. The green jersey moves his way up towards the very front of the pack. They go underneath the banner. Well, it's going to be really interesting to see what those time gaps are, and more importantly, who scores the points here. Here we go. Who got the points? Taiselius got the points, and look at the numbers. That is all about riding smarts. Taiselius from Valencia, from Gasulin, Mamba, Munoz, Adina, all running down in and through, and some serious watts per kilo going out. Taiselius putting out 11.3 watts per kilo, but Valencia put out more watts, a higher watts per kilo, but he didn't take the maximum points, and that is due to the draft effect of coming in through the group. So Taiselius and Valencia, the big scorers there. That means Carl Taiselius will extend his lead at the top of the standings. And the man in second place is the man in second place in the standings. So that gap has opened up one further point. It'll be 59 points now for Gomez. Sorry, it'll be 62 for Gomez, and it will be 81 for Carl Taiselius. Good sprint, that. Really interesting to see. Now, in we come. This is a 15K covered, so we are nicely into the third. In fact, yep, third sprint. Here we go. End of the third sprint, because this is going to be the run through for the positions in category 4. So this is sprint number 3 in category number 4. Let's have a look at the results of that. So Alex Pledger taking top spot once again extending his lead. It's Lloyd who came in second place. That means that he's taken points from Dromard and from Kenup there as well. Then it's Boutheb, followed by Alex Safe, then Boamer, David Noack, Xavier Mayer, Michael Suarez. But for me, big thing here to know realistically, Alex Pledger is trying to seal the sprints as soon as he can. So he's had 3 sprints. That's 15 out of the remaining 50 points have gone his way as they come through, the 50 being the maximum that any one rider could score on the sprints between the start of today's stage and the finish of the MyWhoosh Championship. So Pledger really putting himself in the driving seat, and the riders in second and third places, although they are scoring, they are not scoring enough, I think, to stop Pledger taking away top spot. Really interesting results on the way through there in that category 4 sprint. So remember, the category 4, they've done sprint 1, sprint 2, over the first climb, non-categorized, through sprint number 3, and that means it's not long before they hit the slopes of the Hieis as they come up onto the climb. The Hieis climb starting at 16.3, 16.4K. On the way through, and the categorized section from 16.8 to 33.4 kilometers. Right, so they're heading in. Expect the road to go skywards on the right-hand screen. Left-hand screen, you can see that our category 3, they are at 6K at the moment, and that means that they've been going about 10 minutes or so. Yep, 10 minutes and 6 seconds for our category 3 riders, and that means that still plenty of time for category 1 to assemble, and plenty of time for category 2 to complete their warm-up ready for the race start. So great racing already. Really interesting to see who is going for the sprints, who is not going for the sprints, who is taking this out. So let's keep a check on these riders on the right. You can see they're coming out towards the mountain here. 16.8 should be when the climb itself starts in full. You can just see it's a little bit of a gradient at the moment. We are going uphill. Here comes the banner to signify the start of the segment itself. So the next time they see a red and polka dot banner is going to be some 16.69 kilometers later. Basically 16.7, 17K or 10 miles plus of climbing in front of these riders. The average gradient of this climb is 5.4%. It is not consistent, but it is not the steepest slopes on the various worlds across MyWhoosh, but it is definitely the toughest climb, I think, having gone out and ridden them. And don't forget, you can go ride these. Jump onto mywhoosh.com, download the app on to whatever device you want to run on, whether that is going to be on iOS, on your latest iPhone, whether it's going to be on a Windows system, on your latest laptop or PC, whether that is going to be on an Android system. Make sure you're on there now. Category 4 just seen a kick here as we go on to the climb. I think we're just starting to see somebody going off in a bid for glory here. This is brave riding here. Let's see how they go. So just going to take a look. Just watching Quadrelli. They're looking like he's just sitting tightly in that group. He's the polka dot jersey wearer. Going to follow the brothers very closely today. We're going to take a look at our Category 2 riders in the team. This is Team Tapas in the team competition. And right in the mix at the moment, they have Olivier Simmons, leading overall, I think, in the points competition, if my maths was correct last night and this morning. We'll see where that is going to fall. They've got some really strong riders in here with Che Howala right in the mix. The psychologists, well, they got third and eighth overall in the climbing in the GC, and they've got second in the mountains competition as well in the shape of Spratt. Definitely their strongest riders. The Hubbard squad doing well. Mr. G, their strongest rider at the moment. He's the rider who's broken into the top 10 on stage 2 with an 8th place. So let's see how he goes. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if these riders, a lot of these riders were waiting for today. Some very experienced riders with Bogger and Tortoretto, Kirshner, Krasnich as well. And really interesting to see where they're going to go. But Mr. G putting a great ride in on stage 2 with those steeper slopes of the Wollongong circuit. Now, the Café de Colombia squad absolutely flying. They have our current leader, Christian Maglio, in the lead. They've got 5th and 10th places with Moreno and Carvajal in there as well. And, of course, add in the fact that Maglio has taken 3 out of the 4 stages so far. Big team to watch. KOM's Power, well, they are in the mix for the team competition as well. Henry Uys, the fastest rider in terms of overall for them. And he's also the rider who is right up there in the sprints competition in 5th place at top spot in the mountains competition overall. The elite leftovers are in the team competition still too. And David Pacheco, their strong rider when it comes to the sprints, currently sitting in 2nd place in that sprints competition. So going to be really interesting to see how he goes on. But we know that Jim and Londano, as well as Daniel Cadis, can all be expected to feature and to push into the finish. So some great racing, some great teams, and some great riders in our Category 2, one of the real tough competition sections. And going to be really interested to see how this plays out as we move on from here. So the riders now with 5 minutes to race start. Let's take a look at where those points are. Let's have a pop it up on your screen so you can see what I've got, or similar to what I've got in front of me. I'm hoping this is easier to see. So the team general standings is Café de Colombia, who are leading the team competition with that race leader, as well as 3 riders in the top 10. The cyclists, 2 riders in the top 10 in 2nd place. Team Tapas also have 2 riders in the top 10. They're in 3rd position. KOM's Power have 1 rider in the top 10. They're in 4th. And Hubbard's, They're in 5th position in that team competition at the moment. The Cafe de Colombia squad, though, are really, I think, being rewarded because they have been a very aggressive squad, and they were racing very, very hard from the gun on pretty much all of our stages. And I think they are definitely well worth watching out for today. I would not discount them from going for this and looking to seal the race victory, subject to getting to the end of the race on today's stage. So let's have a look at the KOMs, the King of the Mountain standing. It is going to be a little flick back for us to Category 4, showing on your screens at the moment. Enrico Quadrelli taking the KOM standings. Remember, in Category 2, that is slightly different. The KOM standings in Category 2. That is Henry Uys. That is 18 points. It is Sprat with 15 points. Moreno with 12. Koistonen with 11. Duque with 10. And it's equally close behind them, in fact. So, in the King of the Mountains, in Category 2, very much wide open. Remember, just on the Jebel Hafeet alone, taking the win will get you 15 points. The gaps open up behind. So instead of it being 1 point, you're talking about 4 or 5 points between each position. It pays to be right at the very front on the Jebel Hafeet climb. Instrumental in deciding who's going to take this away in Category 2. It's one of the tightest competitions. Not the tightest, but one of the tightest. And that is going to be really, really interesting. And Ace of the KOM's power team really does have the team name to match the standings. Now, going on to the sprint standing competition, Olivier Simmons leading that at the moment from Pacheco. Then it's Didac, Moreno, and Ace again. But Simmons is the rider who's up there. It makes me feel a little bit better that he gave me an absolute walloping in a race on the platform a little while ago, and going absolutely flying at the minute. So sprinting his way in. That was actually a sprint race as well, but he's going really well. Olivier Simmons, 89th points in the lead. That's a big gap, but remember, we have 50 points still available in the sprints, 25 today, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 points for each of the sprints for first, second, third, fourth, and fifth places, respectively. So, big points there for Simmons. A little bit more obvious where I think the top 2 places are going to come from. But remember, of course, our riders have to make it to the end of the racing. Great battles in sprints and in the mountains. So 1 minute 30 seconds or so to go for the riders in Category 2. Let's take a look at who was the outstanding riders on stage 4. So this was our last stage, not yesterday, but the day before. Maglio taking the stage win with the fastest time up the mountain, and coming in at the front with a gap ahead of Tatu Koistonen, who took the polka dot jersey for King of the Mountains on the day. Olivier Simmons taking the sprint win on the day, on his way through to leading that competition overall, with Cameron Winfield leading in the youth, the under-23 competition. He's actually 8th place in the overall standings. And, of course, Che Hoa, our Masters leader, he's in the top 10 as well. Our overall yellow jersey is Maglio, the man who took that jersey, and he leads the competition. He's got 3 out of 4 stage wins. His current riding time, 7 hours, 57 minutes and 38 seconds. He is clear of second place by 56 seconds, less than 1 minute. Is that time gap going to be as big? Will it be bigger when we get to the top of the Jebel Hafeet and then to the top of the Jebel Hafeet? Not long to find out. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, Category 2, getting one up. It's time to go. It's time to see how well that recovery has gone. We are away on a stage 5. This pack of Category 2 riders make the way out for 70 kilometers or 1,735 meters of climbing, and what is going to be a tough day at the office, whether you're the first over the line or the last over the line. This is gonna hurt. So category 2 heading out across the water, across on the boardwalk, heading in towards town, the lush verdant vegetation at the side, matching the green jerseys of our category 2 riders. So the general category 2 jersey in green, and with black shorts, the riders individualised by their caps, their socks, their bikes, the wheels and so on as they go through. Our leaders of the competition, well, they have skin suits. They get the benefit of the skin suit. You can just see the white skin suit on the right of your screen. That's Winfield, the polka dot in there as well. So category 2 underway, approaching the first kilometre. Category 3, they are on that climb. It's the first of the climbs. It's not categorised. And category 4, even further down the road onto the main climb. Now, in with category 2. Are we going to see a Café de Colombia attack fest once again? Now, for those of you who weren't watching, and if not, why not? Watch it back. It was an absolutely corking stage 4. It was something else again. They have been absolutely brilliant to watch and fantastic to put words to the action to. But they have been aggressive, particularly in the category 2. We've seen some really, really fast racing. Now, it doesn't mean it's always going to stick. Actually, what's happened a lot of the time is that it's been brought back, but it's been about damaging the rest of the group. And in category 2, where these riders are so closely matched, that is definitely making life hard for the riders. Their recovery is going to be key. Category 1, they're sat on our start line. They have just under 20 minutes to go. Category 2, 2 minutes of racing under the wheels. They're on the way out onto the first of the climbs of category 3 and category 4. They are on the way up the main climb. Florian Dromard is going to be our leading rider. He is there. He's ahead of the riders. I think it's going to be a spinner who's in behind him at the moment. So Spina Hernandez in second place. Third place is going to be Boothea. Fourth place, Enrico Quadrelli. Enrico Quadrelli quite likes his fourth places, it has to be said. Fourth place on stage 3 and fourth place in the sprints competition. So taking a look at Mr. Moreno, and the attack is coming. It's clearly listing the Café de Colombia squad. They don't know the meaning of do not attack. They don't know the meaning of let's take it easy. They always seem to go for this time and time again, giving it the beans. And on the front at the moment now, it looks like Hassan Sultan just trying to make his way across, and just looks like Sultan just moving onto the wheels now. Sultan is in the all yellow at the moment. That looks like he's just moving up onto the front here. Whether he can stay that to the end, we will see. He's putting some really strong rides on the way through currently in category 2. One of our individual riders, a second place in stage 1. His only top 3 positions so far, but it could be a change today. And today's surely going to suit riders like Hassan Al-Remethri as well, another rider who we expect to go well on the long mountains. So the pack are back together again, that initial attack being brought back. And you can just see the what's easing off as riders just try and let the group all come together. They're going to be making their way down past the big Ferris wheel, the big eye in the sky on the left-hand side. Is going sweeping around this right-hand bend. So don't forget, if you are watching live on YouTube, you can watch on YouTube, or of course on the Twitch, and that's Twitch TV / MyWhoosh live for the men's race, and you can see this in all of its glory. Now, a little glitch on the screen, which means that our first rider on the road is Florian Dromard. You can ignore the riders just in front, because Dromard is confirmed as our first rider on the road. Then it is going to be Ospina Hernandez in second place, Boothea in third place, Maillard in fourth, Decker in fifth, Noack and Suarez in sixth place. But essentially what's key here are the time gaps. We have got a decent sized gap back to Ospina Hernandez, and then a further 20 seconds or go going further back. So in and through the sprint line we go here for our category 2 men as they make their way into the sprint. Who's got the rocket ship working, who has got the nitrox underneath their wheels. They've got a big kick on here coming through, and you want to take the drag. You want to get as much advantage as you can by using tactical riding here. Looks like Dino is pushing well in there in that yellow coming through. Let's take a look. We'll get those results up on our screen. So here we go. Paolo Cosimano coming through ahead of Cadiz. Then it is going to be Pacheco, then Diedrich, then Simmons, then Lodano. Now, really interesting that as they've come through there, because Simmons is the rider who is up at the top of the standings. He's come through. Cosimano doing a good job there. He's managed to score a fair amount of points coming through the line. That's a good result for him. He's going to be trying to move his way up through the standings. Pacheco, realistically, the big scorer here in terms of taking points away from our number one rider. That is Simmons, and Jim and Lodano in the mix as well. Great to see that and coming through. But Pacheco, the rider who is in second place, scoring third there. He's ahead of his the rider he's trying to overtake. Now, back with category 3. And you can see we're in with Pablo de Manuan, just moving our way up through the group to Camel Canth, and then up to, well, it is Filippo Quadrelli. Filippo, one of the 2 Quadrelli brothers. And we're not going to labour that point much, but really pleased to see them doing that. It's really good to see when families are racing. What we want to know, guys, if you're watching on the YouTube, Filippo or Enrico, are you in the same room? Are you in different rooms? Are you in the same place, or are you separated by kilometres and kilometres, or maybe even in different countries? So we know the 2 brothers racing, both were aggressive and racing hard, but we want to know where they are. That's our next mission to find out. So guys, let us know. Get in touch. Remember, you can get in touch with us, and that is at Matt Fixer Payne on social media, on Strava, and pretty much anything else you want to find me on. It's at Biking MFM, and of course, make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh as well. Now, these riders are far too busy to be doing it at the moment because they are on the drop down towards the sprint. This is coming out of the first climb section. The sprint comes at 14.8, and in they go. This is 300 key meters for the sprint points here. You can just see the Masters leader winding it up at the moment. Taylor Gonzalez winding for the sprint, just trying to move up through the pack. And that is very much what this has been about. It's about moving through the pack here in category 3 rather than putting a full-on, flat-out sprint. Let's have a look at those numbers. In fact, the only man who put in a flat-out sprint was Carl Tyselius there. So Tyselius again extending that lead, and surely now has done enough to take away top spot in the competition overall, particularly as the man in second place in that sprint competition, that is Daniel Gomez Valencia, is not in the top 5. So Carl Tyselius well and truly has his grip. He's got one hand on the jersey overall. He's got one hand on the sprint prize overall. Massive watts coming out. Look at that. 1,015 watts. The nearest I can see is 577. So a long way above. I'm pushing out 11.7 watts per kilo. So Tyselius well on his way there. So category 4 on the final climb of the day. A long way for them to go. Sorry, not final. The ultimate climb that we have, which is the Jebel Hafeet. So onto the big climb. The final climb is the Jebel Hafeet, but this is the ultimate climb of the day, and looks to me like a little bit of a shuffling of the pack, but Drummond up at the front of the race at the moment. Category 3, 2 making the way there. Category 1 looking good. They've 10 minutes to their race start time as well. So a real mix of terrain that the riders are on at the minute across all of our 4 categories. So just taking a look, 22.5k for category 4, the first on the road. And as we flick through our screens here, you can see the respective categories in very different positions in terms of what's happening in racing. Category 4, well and truly strung out one long line. One long line of red dots on the screen. Category 3, the blue dots slightly closer together. The same with Category 2 as well. Category 1, they're not going anywhere fast at the moment. They've still got 9.5 minutes to race start, but looks like pretty much everybody starting to assemble on the start line in the pens. Let's take a look at the teams still in contention for the team standings. The Belgian Waffle squads have been strong, but I've got to admit, lads, bit disappointed. I expected a little bit more from their team. Is today going to be the day? And that's because this is a team that have regularly challenged for top spot all the way across the racing in Sunday Race Club. So big expectations today, certainly from me. The Sticky Bun Club, well, with some fantastic riding, but the man at the moment for them is Ross Fawcett. Now, Fawcett is well clear at the top of the standings. He should be able to wrap this up. He could potentially do so. He's 4 points off doing it at the moment. If he can get 4 more points than Bert Kayham this time round, first sprint, will that be the case? Fawcett has been the sprint master. Now, in the Italian Gelato squad, they are really, really strong. They've got Pin Van Diemen. He's the rider in second position. So the guys in the second position overall, and he's the rider who is also first in our mountains competition, but he's backed up by a real who's who of esports racing. Noran, Mel, Zanaska, and Zagner absolutely flying. The Beast Motor squad, that team also going to be in the mix, because you can just see they are in the mix overall. They've got, of course, Phil Graves in the battle, but it's Christoph Thiem who's their strongest rider, currently 15th in the overall standings at 7 minutes and 59 seconds down is Thiem. So will it be the Beast Mode putting Powered by Mode squad? So next up is going to be Hexagon 1. The Hexagon 1 squad has got Bert Kayham. He's currently second in the sprints competition. You've got Panizza, who's fourth place. Their best rider overall is currently Hoyos. But of course, for me here, this is going to be about Campanisa and Kayham mix it up in that sprint competition. Really interested to see how they get on the way through, because they have been showing us that they are very, very quick indeed. So let's have a look. The last team, the last but not least, is the UAE clan team. This contains our leader overall. The team taking a clean sweep at the top of the mountain, pretty much in terms of who was in and where last time. They had first, second, third, fourth, and fifth on the top of stage 4, the instrumental stage. Michael Vick taking 3 stages out of 4, and only a mechanical issue on stage 2 denying him a sweep through, I think, of every single stage. 7 hours, 17 minutes of riding for Michael Vink. He is by far and away to see he is far and away the leader of the race, and that means that the clan team at the moment are leading in the standings. The squad in second place is the Italian Gelato squad. In third place, we've got Belgian Waffles with the Beast Mode putting Powered by Mo squad in fourth, and Hexagon 1 in fifth. A real battle between these teams. It's incredibly close, in fact, between the Gelato and the Waffles squad. Really interested to watch how that unfolds. At the moment, the clan team are dominating the standings because they have really targeted the right parts of this race. They've got the race leader in 1. They've got 4th overall. They've got 6th overall. They've got 7th and 8th overall on their squad. In terms of Kings of the Mountains, well, Pim Van Diemen is tied at the top with Michael Knudsen of the UAE clan team. So Van Diemen riding for that Italian Gelato squad, tied with Knudsen. Today's going to be a big day. Mr. X100 of that clan squad up against Vujasin. They are tied together in third place at the moment. And Vujasin, a rider riding for the Belgian Waffle squad. Then it's half the points down for Pablo Popovic with 7 points. But remember, today is a monster day, 25 5 points in total if you win both of our climbs. But there's nothing separating 1 and 2. There's nothing separating 3 and 4. And to be honest, anybody in the top 5 could be in there. Now, going on to the sprint competition, we talked a little bit about Ross Fawcett and Bert Kane already. They are the two riders battling for first and second place. Kaminsky out of the run for first place for sure, but could still take second place. So could Panizza, so could Bjorklund, because we still have 50 points left. But Ross Fawcett now is going to look to score 5. If he can score 4 or 5 points and Kane does not come in with a point in this next sprint, that means that he will take the title. Does this mean that the entire Sticky Bond squad will follow him in over the line to try and minimize the points that the rest can take? May be the case as we go into the first one. So remember, it's all going to come down to what happens, and it's going to happen quick. 3.5 minutes to go. Let's take a quick reminder of where we are heading out on the stage today. So first of all, let's take a catch up for the stage 4 winners. It is Michael Vink who took the win at the top of the mountain. Michael Nussen who got the points on the day, but Kane has taken away the prize on the day as our sprint leader on the day. A Mistakes 100 in that Masters jersey for our 50 plus riders. Michael Vink taking the win over the line, Nussen claiming more sprint points, and he did that by taking the points in the early part and the early climbs during the course of the day. So it's Vink, Nussen, Kane, and Mr. X100. Now, we've wrapped up stage 4. Let's just take a quick look at the map and the details of today, which is stage 5, of course. So a quick reminder for you and, of course, our riders who are watching, I know plenty of them do, to what they've got in front. We are in Arabia in this fantastic world. The updated graphics really bring this to life. We head out from the start line. We have our sprints. We climb up over the gorge with the tunnels. We go over the Jebel Hafeet. We descend back down, and then we climb up to the Jebel Hafeet. That is the mountaintop finish. But we have on your profile, as you can see, 3 substantial climbs, 2 of which are categorized. So this is all about whether you can sustain the climb over that big climb in the middle. There's 33K plus on that mountain alone. We spend a long time on the Jebel Hafeet because we have 16.8K of climbing. 16.69 is the exact distance of that from base to top. The segment coming in at 16.8 to 33.4 kilometers. So a 16.6 segment section there. We're going to see just how our riders do on that. The 5 sprints will 2 come in before the first climb, 1 between climb 1 and the first horse category, the first of our point scoring climbs. We then have 2 sprints in quick succession, separated by another climb. Now, that is not categorized again, but that is actually quite steep on the, having been out and ridden on MyWhoosh. And then we come into the finale, going up at the Jebel Hafeet. And all this comes before a time trial day tomorrow in our final stage on stage 7, day 8, which is going to be our flat course here in Arabia. So into the last minute, an amazing set of terrain in front of the Ride of the Park horse, as it's known, is not going to be easy today. It is going to test our riders. This is going to decide, I think, surely where many of the competitions are going to go. Some will come down to the last minute. Some will be about those final points. But surely today, if you want to be in it, you have got to be in it today, because this is key. So here on the MyWhoosh Championships, we're back from the rest day. Who's rested best? It's time to find out. Category 1, the top of the tree, the fastest riders that are here in the championships about to leave the pens on stage number 5. Away we go. The riders will make their way out, and we are going to see the action come very quickly. The first key moment will be about getting from the pen and onto the course in this bunch, then staying in the bunch till we get to the sprint number 1 at 3.3 kilometers. So moving away quickly, and I tell you something, there are one or two riders just having to feel the way out the pace. Make sure that they've got the pedaling up to speed quick enough. We just seen one or two people just distanced a little bit. You've got to get this right. You do not want to find that you're just struggling from the word go. And our riders, we're just taking a dive in here. Looks like Johan Noren, the rider we're riding with, already having covered half a kilometer. That's 500 meters. Now, we just saw Mr. X100 just disappear off the back of that group there. And I think he's just coming back into the pack, just making contact. I'm expecting to see that jersey come back in and through. Here it comes. So that's the Masters jersey. That's Mr. X100, who had been just having an issue there. And it's very easy on that start line to ship a chain as you go through the gears. It's very easy to knock a bottle off and not quite be happy with the setup. And it's about choosing the moment to fix it generally as soon as possible, because it means that you're then going to be up and running, but very quickly back into the fold there. So the whole of the race fields away. We've got 4 categories on the road. We've got lots of action already unfolded. The riders in Category 1 making their way from the start. Category 2, they're going up over the top of the first of our climbs. Categories 3 and 4 are both on the Jebel Hafeet, the horse category climb that comes between 16.4 and 32.8 kilometers. And the riders quickly making their way in through the course here. Now, let's have a look at Category 1. They're rolling well on the left of your screen at the moment. They're traveling at 33k. Not too frantic a start, which is what we've seen quite a lot with the riders. Not too many aggressive moves off the front, but Category 2 probably the exception to that rule. They had a few big digs on the way through, but I think most of the riders are aware that they need to leave it to the main climb now. In Category 4, now, if Proigos got enough time to bring this before the Category 1 sprint, but the Category 4 riders are all over the road, as they are. In fact, look at this on Category 3, really instrumental. We're in with Filippo Quadrelli. So the riders on the way in and through. So they are on the climb here. They're chasing Julio Orrego. So it's Orrego on the top. It's Canthin too. Looks like Quadrelli sitting in 4th place. Looks like Valencia a little bit further back in 6th. Really interested to see here Orrego, a rider who has been relatively quiet in Category 3 so far. Has he been getting his time in right, saving it for the day when it is going to be about getting over this mountain first? Orrego has really come into his own on stages 3 and 4. He got 2 8th places, those are his 2 top 10 places so far for Julio Orrego. And interestingly, Michael Phillips, who's the man who is leading the King of the Mountains competition, out of the saddle at the back, currently on 69 revs per minute. So powering a big old gear there as he comes back up into this group. So on the way up, currently at 6.1%, all of our riders up and racing. And the riders in Category 3 coming into this long right-hand bend. It tightens on the left. This is after one of our big sweeping turns before. And you can just see at the moment that gradient, it's consistent. It's a pretty steady gradient. And this is about just sitting and tapping out a rhythm. The riders in Category 1, they're well on the way, though, towards that sprint. We're at 2.63 kilometers. Looks like one of our riders up the road already. It's Alex Heaney, who's got a little bit of a gap on the rest of the group. So Heaney with that white helmet, the white socks on there, just ahead of the group. He's looking pretty smooth at the moment. Looks like he's just running that Colnago as he comes in and through the red tips to the fork blades there. Just coming round the sweeping right-hand turn. And he's winding this up. Now, interesting that it's Heaney who is doing this. He is in the same team as Bert Cahan and Kana Cahan, the 2 from the Hexagon 1 squad. And Heaney just stretching this out as they come in, maybe wanted to provoke a little bit of a move from the rest of the bunch. You can see Bert Cahan in here. He's currently sat in this group. Fawcett's the rider we are in with. He's the rider who could seal the win here. No pressure, Ross, but this is where it's going to count. Can he do it on sprint 1? Here we are. We're into the sprint. It's about getting the timing right. It's about getting the kick. He's coming near the back of the pack. He's winding it up now. We are in with Mr. 100, who's almost alongside him. But it looks to me that Fawcett may not be at the front of the group as they come out the other side. Now he starts to put the power down and move up through the group. He kicks through. I think he's going to have a quick time. Will he have a quick enough time? We've gone through with Khan Kayan. I'm going to take a little bit of a check in here. So the fastest on the day was Safazad in sprint 1 from Grace, from Bert Kayan, who has scored points. So has Khan Kayan. So 3 and 2 points at the moment for them. No points, nil point for Ross Fawcett. That means that Ross has got to go again, and this time the gap has come down. So his opportunity to seal it, take the points, gone at that point. He's not been able to do it on sprint number 1. Can he do it on sprint number 2, the Sharjah sprint? This time around, he is going to need to do sprint 2 and 3. Just some quick calculations. Now, this is very much subject to verification and better maths than mine. But by my reckoning, the riders, the Kayan riders now have forced Fawcett to ride not just in sprint 1, but in sprint 2 and 3 if he wants to seal this today. He could seal it by taking the win in sprints 2 and 3 and them not scoring highly. But one of those is the other side of the mountain. This is going to be very interesting. Let's see what happens as we go up over the top of the climb. So Michael Vinkar, yellow jersey holder, leading the pack along there in Category 1. Category 3, nicely on the climb. And interestingly here, we are on the start of the mountain. We're on the Jebel Hafeet at the moment. You can see that the lead being taken by Hassan Sultan here. The riders behind are pushing at the moment. They are going to need to answer this attack by Sultan. Sultan riding in a solo position, not in a team at the moment. This time around in second place on stage number 1. That's been his top 5 results so far in the stage. Top 10 result, in fact, in the stage. But saving, I suspect, his powder for today. Duque and Quintero chasing hard behind. This is in Category 2 on the right of your screen. In Category 1, the action is starting to kick off as the riders just stretch their legs out. Pim van Diemen, Dalmer, David Darn, SS covering the moves for the clan team. It looks like Justin nicely tucked in there as well. So now your real skirmish going off on the front of the race, and you can see already very, very quick. 5.3k covered. The next sprint coming for Category 1 at 7.1 kilometers. So on your screens on the right hand side, this is Category 2. Category 2 looking good at the moment for Duque. He's the rider who's gone and stretched his legs up here. He is just trying to open up a little bit of a gap here. And looking good at the moment, but you can see the riders behind, I suspect, are going to close this down. Just riding in with Ice here, who's on the push up here. So looks like it is starting to take its toll. Spratt in here in the polka dot jersey. Parisi in there as well. You've got what's going to be Simmons in the green jersey. He's looking to go over with this group as well. Cameron Winfield in here. Cam doing a great ride, one of our younger riders in the under-23 category, and he's absolutely flying. His ride in the cyclist team has been really instrumental in putting them where they are in that team competition. And as you can see, nicely tucked in with this leading group. We're riding in with Carson Spina. So in with the Spina, this group pretty much all together as they come around to take the left-hand turn here. Gradient just easing slightly at 3%. It's soon going to kick back up again and continue onwards. Category 4 looking really interesting here. You got Dromard, Theab, Quadrelli, Pledger. Looks like it's going to be Ospina as well as Mayard and Suarez. Pretty much all together at this stage. which is what you would kind of expect, but breaking clear of everybody else. So the main protagonist going clear. Now, are we seeing the start of the action? Mr. X100 on the front here. At what point are we going to see the clan team drilling it? It looks like Michael Vink making his way up in the all-yellow skin suit rather than the black shorts. And that's the leader on the road overall. So Michael Vink on the wheels of Mr. X100, who's just winding on the front of this pack, just trying to open up the throttle, just stretch the legs as they come around this sort of sweeping right-hand bend. Now, the run into this sprint is pretty tricky. You've got to dip it and rise to come into it. Remember, it hits 7.1. You can see we're on that dip now. So coming down the dip, the sprint starting at 7.1. This is about the sprint points here. Remember, this is about making sure that you score enough points. Fawcett will be looking to take away some points here. Bert Cahen, along with Karen Cahen, are going to be looking to take those points away. Penitza looking to do the same. So is Kaminsky. This is about this run in through to the line. So who has got the pace? Bert Cahen has gone for this on the front, 13.8 watts per kilo, but he's on his own here. So he's having to do this. If he takes the fastest time, he will have done that with no assistance into the wind behind. You can see that there's been a big kick, and I can see at least the green jersey in the mix there as they came through. Now that is going to be telling. Here is the tale that's been told by that. It is Bjorklund who came through with that group who comes through in top spot. Bert Cahen again scoring points. So has Graves. So has Safrazad. So has Penitza. And at the moment, Ross Fawcett yet to score any points on stage 5 in the sprints. This is a telling moment. Is it that he's just going to concentrate on getting over the stage and worry about the sprints on the last one? He has got a big gap. It is mathematically possible for the riders in second and third places. Second place to come over the top and beat him. Third place can't do it. So Kaminsky can't beat him. But Cahen can. It is physically possible. Whether there's enough points left now, it's getting very, very close. So not expending too much energy at the moment is Mr. Fawcett. Let's go back to the screens now. Well, yesterday, you'll remember that we had a real Quadrelli show. We had Filippo Quadrelli in category 3 right up there, and Enrico Quadrelli in category 4. The two brothers. Thank you very much, Filippo, for getting in touch along with Enrico. Now, basically, they are in the same house. They pedal in their garages, and they are close, and they can talk to each other as they race. So watching on the YouTube channel, thank you very much. It's Fuzz boys. Today is the day. We are looking for you to repeat that and keep us on the edge of our seats. I tell you something, they were absolutely flying yesterday, and great to see both of them, and must be really encouraging because we've got Enrico in category 4 finishing first, and I'm sure he'll be shouting in the ear of his brother Filippo across the garage, saying, time to go, let's go, let's go, let's go, now. So let's see if that's going to be the case today. Don't forget, if you're racing, if you're watching, get in touch. You can get in touch with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Strava, on pretty much everything. It's Matt Fix Bain. You can get in touch with Emma. It's at Biking Emma. And please do make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh on all of your images and your pictures as well as ourselves so that we can see what you're up to. Now, Filippo Quadrelli on the front. It's got a bit of a squeeze on for the cameras, clearly, and they're responding to this. They don't want to let him go, so he's making his way up there. He's got the gap at the moment of 4 seconds on the rider we're following, and that's Stefan Adina. This is a yellow jersey. He's also actually the rider in the young jersey competition in that yellow skin suit, yellow hat on, yellow socks as well. Looking good. Resplendent in all yellow. That is category 3 on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. We've got the riders spread all the way out around the mountain now at 20 kilometers at the moment. You can see that we are in with category 2. They are on to the climb. Sultan, Simmons, Meyer, Cusimano, Quintero, Duque and Spratt on the climb. Now, big group here. This is a big group, in fact, on the way up the slopes of the lower slopes of this climb. Just a quick reminder, this climb is just short of 17 kilometers long, over 10 miles long. We go up to the summit, we turn and we descend back down. We will have gained at that point 898 meters on this climb alone. It is a monster of a beast. It's the Jebel Hafeet climb. It is very long indeed. It is going to be the determining factor, I suspect, in many people's races, never mind today's stage. You can already see from the fantastic graphics just how far up above the rest of the world we have come, because the riders are already gaining masses of height. That's in category 2. They are at 20k. On the same climb, a further 9 kilometers, in fact 9 kilometers exactly down the road, are the leaders on the road. They are the category 4 riders: Dromard, Thayer, Quadrali, Pleasure, Maillard, Suarez. They are the leading group of 6 riders. Cavajo is trying to stay in touch with them. They are on that final climb, but category 1 at 10.25k are on the climb. They're going into the tunnels, and category 1 now on the first climb of the day. This is not a categorized climb, so no points to be scored in terms of the King of the Mountains competition for that polka dot jersey, but big points to be scored in terms of damage to the opposition, in terms of getting a gap, and in terms of putting people under pressure. Now, just taking a look at category 3 and 4 leaders, you got Filippo Quadrali, who is off the front of the group. He will be looking to improve his scores in the King of the Mountains in category 3. Quadrali at the moment in 4th position in the GC, the general classification. Filippo is in 4th place in the sprints and in 4th place in the mountains competition. However, the competition is tough because he has got the riders in and around him. I'm just looking, though, to see if he's got the nearest rider, the one that he actually wants, and that is Michael Phillips, who is leading this out. So we're going to take a look at the right-hand side. Florian Dromard leading the race out on the right-hand side on category 4. Now, we saw Dromard come on to the climb and start to wind things up in category 4, looking to open up a lead. We're going to be back with those riders shortly. We're taking a look at the left-hand side, just in with Christoph Thiem at the moment, and let's see how that race progresses onwards from there. That is all one pack in category 1. Category 2 looks like the attacks continue, but continue to be brought back together again. There's some serious chasing in the group on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, because Dromard up the road from Thayer, Quadrali, Pleasure, Maillard, and Suarez. But all 4 screens showing you the riders at the moment and where they are in that competition. And certainly to me, looking very interesting indeed as they continue to push. Basically, everybody is going up. They're just at different points on the course, going uphill. So a Thiem at the moment, looking good on the left-hand side of your screen here. The rider there tucked in nicely. Christoph Thiem for the Beast Mode, putting Powered by Mode squad. He's their highest placed rider in 15th position, 7:59 overall. Down on our race leader, Michael Vink. In fact, the nearest rider to Michael Vink is 2 minutes 25 seconds down. Now, going back to category 2, another push, but this time by Henry Uys. Uys with the white hat on there. The cap in red is Carsten Meyer. Then Hassan Sultan with the yellow helmet on there. Big push on the right-hand side for Olivier Simmons. He's your sprint leader going up over the top of this group, going up into the lead. Just looking for Cam Winfield. He was the rider in the white jersey. He's just at the back of this group. He's got to continue to push in that white skin suit and in the yellow skin suit. And that is going to be Maglio, who's chasing at the moment. So Christian Maglio in with this group. All the expected favourites in the leading group of riders in Category 2. There is nothing to choose between them at this stage. We are at 22.3k, which means that they have been climbing for what is effectively 6 kilometres from the low point on the course, and they have still got another 9k, nearly 10k to go at the moment. So Nicholas Spratt, the rider we're riding with at the moment, squeezing on Category 2. Category 1, they're coming up towards the summit of the climb. This is the first climb of any note today, but it's not a categorized climb as they come in and through. So going to be really interesting to see how they push over the top. I think if I were them, I would be wanting to push for a pretty hard move to try and get the gap to open up and to stay open. So over the top they go, and this is where the pressure is on. They're starting to wind up here as they go over the top and start to make the way into the descent. The gap has opened a little bit, then been closed down. So no major gaps over the top here. All the key contenders in Category 1 all together, and this is the descent. There is a rise on the way through here, so we're on the 5% descent. It will very quickly change gradient, and then we'll start going back uphill and start to find those gradients in a crease. And at the moment you can just see that gradient just kicking up now, so just making the way up the climb here. So our Category 1 riders at 13.68. that means they've gone over the first climb. They're just coming in to the descent, part way on the way down to sprint number 3. Big news today, of course, Ross Fawcett yet to score any points in the sprints competition. He has got a gap, not sure whether he's got enough, but Bert Kahan, the nearest rider to him at 40 points, has scored in both sprints on the way through. Big task to overhaul Fawcett. It is mathematically possible, even if it's not probable, but this is bike racing and anything can happen. So Category 1 at the moment, everyone all together. Probably the other big news in Category 1, we haven't seen an en masse attack, or in fact repeated attacks from the UAE clan team. Maybe just having a steadier start to the day before we come up onto the big climb. In Category 2, we've seen the riders start to break themselves up a little bit to shake it up. Maglio and all of the favourites in with the group on Category 2. They are currently about 6k into the monstrous climb that sits in the middle. You have Category 3 a little bit further up the road, and Category 4 still well on the way up the climb. Moment we are into the next of our sprints here, and this is where we're looking to see if we're going to see a rush from the green jersey. Now he starts to wind his way into the group. Is he going to be able to put the fastest time? He came from the back of the group. Kahan has pushed as well. This is the third of our sprints. Who is going to get this? It's going to be really interesting to see who is going to pick up the points in the sprint competition. Well, here we go. Phil Graves gets 5 points. Ross Fawcett scores 4. And that means that he is now at 90 points. And his gap is still pretty much held to Bert Kahan. So we can pretty much say that Ross Fawcett scoring 4 points in that sprint has put him in 90 points. Now, at the start of the day, there were 50 points left. There are not 50 points left now, but Kahan has scored points, but he's not won every sprint. On that basis, I think we're pretty safe to say Ross Fawcett has just sealed himself the win in the green jersey. Congratulations, Ross. That's some big prize money heading your way, as long as you make it to the end of the race. So better get digging in deep. I hope you've got lots of supplies. Other things to note on the way through: 5 points for Grace, 4 for Fawcett, 3 for Panizza, scoring well in that competition, 2 for Mr. X100 and 1 for Lucas and Nasca. But remember, here in the racing, this is live, so One of the riders, Bert Kane, I'm not sure we've seen him actually come through that sprint. Now, going back to category 4, this is the top of the Jebel Hafeet. Over the top of the climb has come Florian Dromard. Dromard going to go around the turn and descend back down again, which is what he's doing now. So going to be making his way down. Big time gaps behind, but it is a big group of big favourites. Dromard goes over the top. He's got nearly 2 minutes gap. We're going to see what the rest of the riders are doing as they come up over the top in the category competition there. This is our second place rider. This is Boothab, going to be pushing here. He's got a little bit of a gap on Cavallo, and then Cordrali in that chasing group. And you can see going the opposite direction was Dromard. And that's a great thing about this climb. We can see the competition having gone around the loop, coming back down into the descent. This is the chasing group. So Dromard already on his descent. That gap is opening up because, of course, remember, the time gap is calculated on the speed of the rider. Dromard is probably doing 60 kilometers an hour. That is a massive difference to Theab, who is doing 18k an hour. And some of these riders will be doing a lot less than that as well, because they're on the way up here. And that gap will open, and it will open very big as they go over, because these riders are ascending. Dromard is descending. So until they are both descending, we're not going to get an accurate time gap between positions 1 and 2, 3, 4, and so on. So Theb's still onto the climb, got to make his way up over the top. The fastest time of the day with Dromard. Now, if this is a kick from Dromard for the win, he comes down the descent. He's going to finish that descent. He goes into a sprint at 51k and, well, nearly 52k. It's nearly 55k. And then the final climb is at 61.8 kilometers. So a big ascent to finish on the Jebel Hafeet that we saw on stage 4. Theb's still on his way up this climb. We're waiting for his time to come up on the screens, and this will give us an accurate time check as they came through underneath, because they came in to the start of this climb together. So the time gap that we get here at the top of the climb will be pretty accurate based on the times on the left hand side of your screen. So great riding here by Theab on the climb, still holding that 8 seconds to Quadrelli, who's kicked clear of a spinner of pleasure of Maillard and Cavallo at the moment. So it looks like Enrico Quadrelli, no doubt being shouted on by his brother beside him in the garage in Italy, coming in to the final stages. Now round goes Booth Theab. He's going to come round. This is literally a roundabout turn. This is a quick kick in and around. Behind him, the rest of the roads are coming in up towards the top of the Yace climb as well. They will make their way in and through, and the times come up. Right, let's have a look at the times. 53.35, a 57.14. That is a monstrously big time gap. Let's get them confirmed up on the screens here. So Dromard goes through with Boothayab in second place, Quadrelli in third place, a speeder in fourth, Maillard in fifth position. Really interesting to see how those riders have gone on there in terms of points. Quadrelli scoring 10 points, Dromard scored 15, but you can see on the way through, when we saw the time gaps on the left of your screen there, that there was nearly 3 minutes at the top of the climb separating first place rider Dromard from second place rider, that's Boothayab, and only a few seconds back then came Quadrelli, Ospina, Maillard and Suarez and Cavajo. Really interesting. Now, they are the riders in category 4. You can see Quadrelli on the descent at the moment. Meanwhile, category 1, guess where they are? Welcome to the Jebel Hafeet. Welcome to what is going to be a very, very dark place for some. It won't just be the shadows cast by the mountain. This is going to feel very, very tough. And Vujacid and Martins are lighting this up. There's something to tell you, they've been waiting for this hillside here today. So here we go, category 1 onto the slopes. Vink is keeping close attention on the riders. You can just see Popovic is in here. SS is right up in the mix as well. Looks like Pim van Diemen the rider who is in the leading the polka dot as well. In there, you've got Knudsen right in the mix. Walters not far off. This is a big pack, and the first of our riders just being distanced a little bit off the back of this group. So our riders are on to the mountain. Let's just have an eye on what they are doing. So category 1 well on the way up here. Just keeping an eye on those numbers as they go up. Just watching category 2 on the right hand side of your screen simultaneously. Great to have the split screens here as these riders continue up this hillside. And if you take a look at this, you can just see the scenery is absolutely stunning. Joining me for the scenery on the Jebel Hafeet is my commentating partner here. It is Emma Martin. Welcome, Emma. You have been finishing the women's race on what was for them an extreme mountain day. They finished up a big old climb to finish, but it was a tough old day. Did it continue as it was when I left? And we're going to sound like a bit of a stuck record on vinyl for those who are old enough to remember it, because when I left, it was an absolute corker.
Yeah, and I have to say, I feel like I have climbed every mountain with them today. So it was a brilliant race and so much closer in some of the categories than I thought it would be.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Well, I can't wait to watch that back. We'll be bringing you all of the finish of the men's race, Emma and I, on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch TV. And when you finish watching that, jump over on YouTube to watch the end of the women's race. Probably join me doing that. That's my plan. Based on what Emma's just said, it will be it's going to be great fun watching the end of the action there. Now, we are on the climb. We're with category 1. We're at 19.7k. You can see the pressure is on. Martins and Justin are here. And then we'll see a move here by riders who are not necessarily the ones we would have expected based on the performances of the guys in the UAE clan team.
Well, I think a lot of teams have nothing to lose now, Matt. It's all or nothing, you know. You're not going to change the standings or upset the standings by being a steady pack rider. You really are going to have to take this race by the horns and take it to them.
So taking it to them is also handing it to Phil Graves. So Phil Graves being distanced off the back there. Lucas Zanaska took nicely in with this group here. We know Zanaska can climb. We know that he's got some great power. He's on his way up the mountain. You can just see right-hand side of your screen the riders coming down the slopes. So it looks like it's going to be about a 3.5 minute gap for Florian Dromard on Boutheb. Boutheb has got Quadrelli on his wheels and just whipping over the top of there. It's Yo-Yo in between Quadrelli and Theab. Suarez is in there, Pleasure's in there, Maillard is in there. It looks like we've got Carlos Espina in there as well. This group of category 4 riders absolutely flying. But really the story was about Florian Dromard. He kicked really hard, really early, Emma. He went for it pretty much on the first climb.
Wow. Now that's impressive, isn't it? Because Dromard lying in 5th place on GC overnight, 13 minutes back.
Yeah, could be given a lot of room for manoeuvre, but I don't think whether they were giving him room or not, they could do anything about him. He absolutely has gone for this. And you've got to remember, of course, that Dromard is a pretty strong rider when it comes to the men. He's got 2nd place in stage 3 and a 2nd place in stage 4. So as this race has progressed, he's really come into his own. That says to me he's had a very, very secure game plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's looking like he is coming to his fore in these big mountain stages. So it is going to be great to see whether he can hold that gap or even extend it at the finish.
Well, really interesting watching the numbers coming down here. We're seeing some of these riders yo-yo through in this group. Dromard has been working very, very hard on the way down. I've seen 3.5, 4 watts per kilo from him in places, particularly as it levels up, because They're riding down what they've just ridden up, and that is sometimes can be soul destroying, because you realise how long it took you to get up and how quick
and how quick you come down.
Definitely the case. They're not in a position though where they're going to see the Category 1 riders. However, the Category 4 riders going up are going to see these riders coming down. They're going to know they've got a long way to go. So Category 4 just passing the 40-kilometre mark of our 70k. They're well onto the descent. Remember, Dromard at the very front here now. Will he continue to push, or will he let this group come back? He's not got much of the flat ground in between. In fact, it's got a big dip and rise even before you get to the main climb. Now, Category 1, left-hand side of your screen, Martin stretching the group out. Van Els, Kaminsky, Vujassin, Noren in there. It looks to me like there is a bit more of a conservative riding approach being taken, and I think another rider being distanced off the back of this group into the distance now. I'm looking for Vink's skin suit, the all-yellow skin suit of Vink. Trying to find him. I think I can see him in there. Emma, please feel free to shout when you see him.
Well, he is in there, Matt. I've seen his name come through on the screen, but he's keeping himself a little bit steady at the moment. Currently in about 12th position in that pack, just moving through and rolling through as the group continue as one large group up this climb.
So they are the leaders. They are shedding bodies out the back of the group rather than attack on the front. Meanwhile, Spratt, Mayer, Simmons, Sultan, Winfield, Duque, all at the front of Category 2 are really kicking hard up here. It really is a who's who in Category 2 as well. And Nicholas Spratt has really come into his own as we've come into the mountains. He's been looking strong. He's been rewarded because he's got that polka dot jersey at the moment. He's riding his way up through this group. You've got Olivier Simmons in there, the sprint leader, mixing it up on the big climbs as well and showing that he can climb with the best.
Well, absolutely. As we drop back in with our Category 1 pack, and Zanaska, Nair, Theme are all in this group. Knudsen is there as well, and it was indeed Ross Fawcett who was getting dropped off the back.
Yep, he was the rider just disappearing off into the distance. So the riders have been gapped, and you can see it is definitely the case that this is about keeping the tempo, keeping the pace. As we see Mistakes 100 come to the front now. We've not seen much of the UAE clan team on the front, but now we're starting to see them. They are at 22 kilometres covered at the moment. Remember that the top of this climb comes at 33.4k.
Yeah, so at 33.4k they will be at the top of the mountain, but they are nowhere near that yet. But the pace being pushed on at the moment, and I think that's Vujassin just pushing on at the front, you know, Matt. So Vujassin, and it's looking like the Belgian Waffles who are keen to keep this pace high.
They are certainly looking like they're stretching this up, and the chase coming from SS. He'll have the blue cap on. SS usually identified by a blue cap as he chases Vujassin, white shoes, black socks, white helmet here up on the front of the group, but they have brought him back. Van Elst is not letting this go, and neither is Kaminsky. Safrasad is pushing on as well here. Everybody wants to be in the mix. Van Diemen is here, and are we starting to see a stretch out here where we're going to see a gap form? They're very quickly on it though, and that gap didn't last long. They stretched it, it broke, and they brought it back together very quickly. Nobody wants to be distanced. Great ride here by Alex Heaney. He really is impressed today. He was on the move very early in the stage, and maybe just running his legs out a little bit just to make sure that he was feeling as good as he thought he was. And he was, because he's up in with this group, and this is a great ride. This is going to really propel him up through the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have seen him, you know, Matt, during these stages, you know, and during the earlier stages as well. He has been there or thereabouts covering some of the moves, and it's good to see him still here today.
So on the way up the climb, left-hand side of Category 1, Category 3 on the right-hand side of your screen. They are not far off getting to the very top of these slopes at the moment. They take a little sweeping right-hand bend, and it looks to me like we've got another gap opening up at the front.
Matt. Valencia, who has pushed on here in this Category 3 race. Valencia pushing on. We have one rider further down the road, actually, and that is Carcajal. So Carcajal, Valencia in there as well. These riders continuing to push on. Herdina now coming through to take up the front as they start to really push here in this race. So Herdina in here. Valencia is in here. These riders continue to push on. There are a number of riders in this group. Codrelli is in 7th place at the moment. So still 7 riders really key at the front. Some gaps starting to form in this group. Will this group start to split at the top, or is this all going to stay together?
So I think this is going to come together up over the top and around the top of the turn, because this group has not got minutes. They've not done a Dromard and gone clear. Dromard doing a Vink and putting it in and opening the gap. We've got some people doing something else. Basically, they're doing the do. They are out there and doing the business, because this is the top of the climb. Remember, this climb is nearly 17 kilometers long. The gaps have opened behind some of our riders, but this is tight at the top here. So it looks to me like this is going to be the kick. Now, remember, there are big mountain points at stake here. There are 15 points for first place. That's a big point score. You can climb 3 Category 4 mountains and only score the same number of points if you win every single one of them. Has taken the win at the top of the horse category climb. This is putting some fracturing into the group, but look at that. You've just seen Phillips come across the gap. We've not seen much of Michael Phillips until now. He's been hiding in that group quite comfortably, and this group is going to come back together again here, Emma. This is a brutal finisher to the Jebel Hafeet climb. They are approaching what is going to be 1,035 meters of climbing at the moment, and they have still a few more meters on this climb. And of that, a lot of that was done on this climb. This climb is 898 meters.
We are starting to see the attacks go in, and Phillips goes over the top here, but we are kicking here. They are sprinting for this banner mat, this polka dot end, signifying the end of that climbing segment. And that was absolutely eyeballs out to see who takes the fastest time up the mountain.
It was indeed in Category 3 there. I mean, that was like seeing a stage sprint finish as they come through, but they're going to go back down. So Valencia goes over in top spot with 15 points. Michael Phillips in 2nd place with 12 points. Filippo Quadrelli goes through in 3rd with 10 points. You've got David Cajal going through in 4th place with 8. You've got Esteban Valencia going through in 5th place with 6 points. So the biggest point score going to Valencia on the way through. Looking down, Herdina going in through Staples, Noriega going in, Bulgarin, looks like Demanuan as well as Gutierrez. That is your riders at the top of the standings at the moment, but great riding. I mean, that sprint for the line was absolutely key to see, and it's going to be very interesting when we move on to the time trial stage, who's holding those jerseys as we go in. Remember, of course, the next point score is also a big one. It's a Category 1 at the top of the Jebel Hafeet.
Yeah, it is indeed. And I'm thinking by my quick calculations, Phillips there may well still have held on to that polka dot jersey in terms of that mountain classification. But it is absolutely close in that Category 3 race.
So our Category 3 riders going up and through. Herdina nicely tucked in with that group. The yellow jersey in the mix in Category 3 in the blue, bottom left-hand side of your screens. Right-hand side of your screen, Dromard at the moment with that lead from Quadrelli, from Thea, from Suarez. The gap at the moment, 2 minutes 10 seconds between the leader Dromard and the chasing group. That's in Category 4. Top right-hand side of your screen, this is the battle for the Category 2 lead at the moment. Custom Mayor, Nicholas Spratt, Quintero, Sultan, Duque, all in the mix. Cam Winfield in here, the youngster, battling it out in the fight. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see that we have the riders in Category 1. They're on one of the open sections of the slope on the way up this climb, and they are still all together. They've been shedding riders out at the back rather than the front. But at the moment, Carsten Meyer is the rider with the lead in Category 2, but it's tenuous. It's only 1 or 2 seconds. It's only fluctuating by 1 or 2 seconds here as they go up, but he's got them in a line out behind him.
Yeah, they are indeed lined out in Category 2. They are bunched up in Category 1. SS is on the front, but it is a front that is all over the road. It's right, there is 1 or 2 riders being dropped off. We saw Ross Forsyth, the rider, dropped off first. We've got another rider just dropping off the back of that group. They are continually whittling it down. Zanaska is still in, Nair is still in, Panitza, X100, Noren, Vanden Eckhout, Safrazad, SS, Knudsen, Hoyas. They are all still in this group. So is Van Damon, as well as Vink. This is just, it's a packed group.
It is a packed group. For those of you who maybe your first language isn't English, whittling is when you take a piece of wood or a stick off a tree, and you take a sharp knife and you take off little pieces at a time to create the finished article. So that might be a handle for a knife, or it could be sculpture. But whittling is taking a big block of wood or a stick and taking a little piece, one piece at a time. Now, you can do that by whittling the group down, but you can see Category 1, that is breaking away. So we've just seen a move on the front of Category 1. It looks to be being closed down. Meanwhile, Category 2 are approaching the top of the climb. So it looks like the move on Category 1 is going to come to nothing. It's not dropping anybody off the back, but they are coming back. Category 2, though, they are at the top of the climb. Mayer has got Quintero and Simmons behind him. He's got Duque behind him. He's got Spratt, Ruiz, Sultan. That's a big old group, Emma. Look at them coming after Mayer here. And we saw in the preceding group to get to the top, that was Category 3. This is almost a bunch sprint sometimes at the top of this climb.
Yeah, well, just under 1,500 metres to go until they see that polka dot banner that signifies the end of this climb, this Hawk category climb on stage 5 of the MyWhoosh Championships. Mayer and Sultan, Winfield and Simmons, these riders all in with a chance here as they snowball. It's almost like they are just moving up this mountain as one big pack. Nobody is being able to break this group.
They're not, and the rider that I'm just wanting to make sure is still in there, and he is Maglio. He's actually at the back of the group at the moment. Maglio in the yellow jersey of race leader in 7 hours 57 minutes at the start of today. He's the rider at the base of your screen, and you can just see Spratt is right in this mix as well. We're climbing with Nicholas Spratt. This is going to be about who can kick for the line. We are at 32.3, but we know we've still got more gradient to come. The top of this climb coming at 33.4 for the section. So we've got 1K to go, and this is where it's about having to dig deep to be able to hold on. And when do you put your kick in? Because it's a long, long way to go.
Well, it's a long way to go, but 6 watts per kilo at the moment from Quintero, indicating that he's going to take this long with 900 metres to go. We've got riders chasing behind, and they are all kicking. Look at that, 5 watts per kilo out of Ruiz. Duque is pushing too. So is Spratt at 5.5 watts per kilo. They are all now mounting their final effort at the top of this climb.
So they're going to come into this sweeping turn, and as the pace picks up, as long as there are no gaps, you could use the draft to come through this group. We're swinging at 20 kilometers an hour, but the draft effect is not going to be huge. This is about making sure that you get your timing right. It's so critical. And Julian Quintero is looking like he doesn't want to leave this to chance now. They're hesitating behind him. Is this going to be fatal for them? He's got to make his way up into towards that turn. They've come back at him now and over the top. But you can see Sultan had a dig. Mayer is holding second position. Big push coming here from Simmons, the sprint leader. You can see Che Howeiler going hard, but Quintero is holding them off at the moment. So he's still on the front here, despite repeated pushes. They are not getting onto his heels. Now Sultan goes over the top again. We've got the right-hand bend coming up. We're looking for that banner, and it's still not coming for these riders. They are going to be feeling this, and there's only so many times that you can kick and kick again. And the riders have to be careful here. They will not want to be distanced, but we have a short, and I mean really short, run around this roundabout at the top. It's a flat lead in, turn around the roundabout, then we are into that descent.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And if you have no points on the board at the moment in this mountains competition and you can take the win here, it will elevate you into second place on the leaderboard. So the push coming on, and it is all to play for at the moment.
So here we go. This is the big kick in for the line. The sprint is coming. Who's going to get it? The polka dot jersey goes and hits it. Nicholas Spratt comes over the line first, but it's by fractions of a second, and it's going to be about who came into the climb last rather than who came over first. Has Spratt done enough? He has. Look at that, Nicholas Spratt. Perfection in timing. That man could conduct an orchestra because he was making them dance to his tune there at the finish. He came over the line absolutely at the right moment. He was answering moves. He was not the rider who was doing all of the work until he came to the very end, and that was some race. Spratt taking 15 points. Howeiler taking 12 points in second. Duque taking 10 points in third. It is going to be Cam Winfield taking 8 points in fourth, and Quintero taking 6 points in fifth. And after all of that hard work, Mayer, Simmons, Sultan, Ruiz, Maglio and Spina, they have not scored points, but they are in a position to challenge for the race finish and the overall, because they're in this group on the descent.
Well, I can guarantee that we are going to see tomorrow morning a very different profile in this mountains competition in Category 2. But let's not forget, there's still one Category 1 climb to go. Jebel Hafeet still stands between those riders and the checkered flag.
And there are plenty of times when we're racing on Sunday Race Club where we have a mountain stage that has that at the end, and we think that's big. That's nothing as compared to today, because we always say in commentary, and it's true when you ride it, when you are riding, the first hill of the day can be big and it will feel easier than a hill at the end or a climb at the end of the day when you've got that accumulated fatigue, the lactic acid, all of that racing in your legs. So whilst we are racing for the summit here and we are still at 28k covered, we are not yet up at that 33.5k marker for the finish. We are seeing some serious action going down from Category 1. And this is going to do damage, isn't it? Because by the time you get to the finish, their legs are going to be in absolute pieces. So let's give a quick summary for you for our 4 screens at the moment. 55k covered, so about 5k to go for Category 4. Category 3, well, they are still on their way on the descent down. You can see that Category 2, they're higher up the mountain, still got a long way to go to the bottom. And on the way up, the only rider still ascending, that is going to be the riders in Category 1.
Well, let's just confirm, Matt. There may be 2 main climbs of the day, but sandwiched between them are 2 sprints. Sprint number 4 and sprint number 5 coming at 51.8 and 54.6. And each of those sprints, well, one is downhill, one is uphill.
It's uphill, and it's at the end of a very nasty climb as well. So sprints 4 and 5 separated by not much on the road, but separated by plenty in terms of ascent. Now, Florian Dromard at 55 kilometres at the moment. So he is out of the other side, I think, of our final sprint.
Yep.
I'm not sure whether he'll be even worried about those sprint points. All he wants to do is make sure he has the gap. He's still holding 2 minutes on the chasers behind, and that means that this is going to be about making sure he can tap that rhythm out over the top, hit the climb, and then get up to the top. But he's going to be doing that solo. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he goes on with that. Now, back with Category 1. Emma, this group is together with Seam Stakes 100 on the back of the group. And this is a climb that's going to suit him because there's no 18% gradient, then 5. This is a good, steady state climb. So holding just a really fast pace is what we know he's so good at.
Well, holding just a really fast pace is what the pack are doing at the moment, Matt. They're just shy of 30 kph going up this climb. The gradient's 4.6% at the moment, but you're right. There are no really steep segments. It's not like we saw in Wollongong City where that climb kicked at over 17%. This indeed is a steady gradient, and the average gradient on this climb is 5.4%, but there are not many sections much more than that.
Yep, it yo-yos up and down a little bit, and you could see actually when Emma said that it was at 5.4%, so we were bang on the average. Yeah, again, it's just hovering around. You can see it's just gone up to 6 at the moment, but slopes of 18% are definitely not happening at the moment. But you can see the difference in speed. The ascent, even of Category 1, currently at just over 20 kilometers an hour. We are heading for 55 kph at the moment now, nearly 60 kilometers an hour. Over 60 kilometers an hour for Andre Duque as he goes down now. I've just seen 65. Maybe one of our riders will tell us what's the maximum they saw on their screen on this big, long descent. I'd absolutely love to be riding down there.
Well, one of the things I'm noticing there, Matt, is his heart rate has dropped substantially, and that is one of the benefits of having this descent in. So you do get some recovery. It's not like those courses where you have a constant rolling terrain and you are up, down, up, down, up, down. This does at least allow for some form of recovery on this course.
It does indeed. Now, just taking a look across all 4 screens, left-hand bottom side of the screen, and you can just see Hadina just being distanced a little bit here on this descent. Now, what we do find is that younger riders tend to be lighter, and that is a disadvantage on the descent. It's something that we don't talk about very much on commentary, and it's not often mentioned, but being lighter on a descent is hard work when you are racing, isn't it?
Shockingly. You know, if you've ever done a mixed race where the men are in with the women, the downhills are harder than the uphills for the women.
Yep, and that is because the average weight is so much different.
So much different.
It's a bit like Emma and I, if we go out on the road, I can be freewheeling down a section of road because I weigh slightly more, 1 or 2 kilos.
1 or 2.
10 or 15 kilos more than Emma, and that makes the difference. So even me at race weight is still heavier than Emma at race weight, and that is just means that going down, I can go down faster, and the lighter riders will have to work harder on the downhill. So it's a little bit of payback if you're a bigger rider. Sadly, the downhills never last as long as the ups, so you never feel like you're gaining quite as much as you're giving away.
Yeah, well, you never feel like you're getting as much recovery as everybody else when you're a lighter rider, because you've got to work harder on that descent. But working hard on that uphill section at the moment is indeed our Category 1 race field. They are the last category to hit the top of this hot category climb.
So the Jebel Hafeet playing host to the racing of all 4 categories here in the men's 70k stage number 5. And this is the real extreme mountain stage, an absolute epic today. The first climb was tough. This is even tougher. And then at the end, with all that accumulated fatigue, we're going to go into the climb that finished off the previous stage 4. We've had a rest day in between. Whether that was a rest, I suspect it was active rest for the riders. There's definitely no rest in the commentary. Lots of prep getting ready for today. And the same with the amazing team behind the scenes who are helping us bring you all of the pictures here. I've got to say a massive thank you to the guys in the studio. I know talking to them, we think it's bad in here. We've got what is now 7 screens rolling in the commentary between Emma and I. We're not watching many if you compare it to the team who are bringing you the pictures. So a massive thank you to them. I know they're working really hard behind the scenes. You might hear us, but we are only to bring you able to put words to the action because of the hard work of the team there. So a big thank you to them today. And let's get back to the action now, because Quadrelli, right-hand side of the screen there, that's the chasing group with Florian Drummond in Category 4, and they have knocked a big chunk of time off. They are bringing that down because of the use of a group. Maybe that will give heart to the riders a little bit further up this slope, that if they do lose ground in the final sections of this climb, they can bring this back.
Well, that is a big question, isn't it? Because Dromard climbed so well on the Hawk category climb that came at 16.4 kilometres into this 70k race. Can he climb as well on the Jebel Hafeet at 61.8 kilometres into this race today?
Now we're coming into the final few kilometres here. We've got what is going to be about 2.5k to the finish. Now we would see if this was a stage finish, you'd be seeing some big gaps being opened on the way over the top, and it would be decisive. At the moment, we're not seeing that in this group, and I think they're just being very careful, because if you go now, where do you go? I think you would want to go with 3 or 4 riders as a minimum you wouldn't want to leave a big pack. And we're so late on this climb now that if you split this, you run the danger. Even if you've got 4 or 5 on the front, you're going to have at least 6 or 7 behind, and that gives them the advantage on a big long descent.
Well, it does indeed, and that is a challenge, isn't it, about a lone rider going now. Either you've got to go now and get enough of a gap that it's not so imperative the distance is able to catch on that descent with the run into the bottom of the climb. It's a 10k run in from the bottom of the climb, Matt, to the start of the next. We're seeing a bit of a closing down of the gap in category 4 where Dromard has gone clear. So it's an interesting tactic to make as we see a rider push on at the front. We said they had to go early and they had to go about now, and it's Hoyas who has put the attack in.
So Hoyas on his way up the climb at the moment in category 1. And we're going to see how he goes. Only got a second place on stage 2 on the steeper slopes of Wollongong, but it was a sprint run in. But I think Knudsen is coming after him. Bujasin is doing the same. And this is the first push. And now it starts to string out. And for me, this is the danger of sitting in that group. Riders will attack you. And I've got to say, Emma, if I was that UAE clan team, I think I'd be getting on the radio and go, look, guys, we need to be smart about this. Let's all go as one on the front and let's just drill this as a team. Because if they drilled it as a team, if they could go at the pace of their riders and put 5 riders up the front of the group and all push at the same time, I think that's how they put people in trouble and still have strength to take that advantage over the top, because they would break the riders one by one rather than going off the front one by one.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because whilst Fawcett might have the sprints wrapped up, nobody has the mountains wrapped up in this competition yet, and we are on stage 5. This is the big mountain stage. Whilst there may be points to pick up on the final day, nothing like the points available right now.
Indeed, so this is a big point score. Just a quick reminder, it is Michael Knudsen and Pin Van Diemen who are the 2 riders tied at the top as they came into the stage. Now we've gone over the top of the first climb without needing to worry about the points. This is the run return here at just over 1k to go, so they know that it's not far. We can actually just see it in the distance at the top of your screens. That is the summit, but they've got some serious height gain to make to get themselves up there. This is going to be a big old run. This is going to be interesting. Let's see who's going to try and lead this out.
Yeah, well, just going back to the points there, Matt, Vujasin and X100 are next, tied on points as well. So the top 4 riders, 2 sets of ties.
So as Emma has picked up and we pointed out at the start of the show, it is 2 twos, a brace of pairs or a pair of braces, depending on which way you look round. That's definitely going to be a few differences now. Starting to see gaps open a little bit here. And is this riders laying off, or are we starting to see the elastic start to snap to the riders behind? This is going to be really, really interesting as they come up here. Who is going to be able to get the gap here? It's really tough stuff. It's breaking behind, but do you know what? This pace is winding up. We're at 31 kilometers an hour there, just trying to get back into the group. And Vink on the back here. For Vink, he's labouring. That's a big gear he's pushing.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, isn't it, as to whether he's going to contest this, because the others are starting to flash numbers. They're starting to wind it up. They've got 500 metres to go until they hit the banner. And Hoyas is in now at nearly 8 watts per kilo. Martins is in here too. So is Panisa. So is Van Diemen. So is Kaminsky. So is SS. They are all in this pack at the moment.
So here we go. This is the run for the line. This is for the points. Knudsen's winding it up here. Michael Knudsen's on it. He said he was ready to go for this. I was talking to him before the start of the stage, and he told me that it was time to go again, that he was ready, that he'd done some rest. He was amazed by some of his competitors, what they've been up to on the way through. He's clearly done his homework. Has he got the pace here? He's going to kick for the line. He's going to take away the first over the line. Will he take away maximum points? Safisai comes through that it's Martins, Tim Cutler, Juan Hoyas, Panitza and Van Elst in that order over the line. Will that be the result as they come in and through? Knudsen takes top spot, 15 points at the top of the standings. Now, Van Diemen, anybody see him?
Nope.
Is he there?
Nope.
He's not there. And this
Not
is
in
going
the
to
top
be
12.
very much in order of Knudsen's advantage. Then look at the battle for third place. Vujasin coming in, taking 10 points there. That has boosted him right up and through the standings. Then you can see Mistakes 100 not in the mix at the top of that with that explosive sprint finish of the Jebel Hafeet climb. And that is going to help Vujasin no end whatsoever. In fact, Vujasin now will move over the top of Pim van Diemen. I'm going to check that with Emma, though, because she's the one with the mass.
I am agreeing with you and nodding from
Whoa,
the other side of the commentary
steady.
box.
I wasn't watching
so
you nodding, I was watching the screen.
It's looking like Vujasin by 1 point will move into second place in that mountains competition.
So all of our riders now over the summit of the Jebel Hafeet. All of the riders in the lead groups, that is, there are still riders behind our leaders making their way up the mountain. If that's you guys, keep digging in. No hill goes on forever, not even the Jebel Hafeet. This is about digging deep and getting yourself into the finish to be able to say you finished your race, the very first of the MyWhoosh Championship stage races that have been contested across 7 stages. We're on stage 5. We're in with our category 1 leaders. This group is through, and Pim van Diemen is in this group. He just didn't score any points on the way through at the top of that climb. Now, descent's not normally where you would see an attack hammer. It's very difficult to get away, and taking advantage of the draft key. You were talking about recovery here. That's surely more important than trying to put an attack in.
Well, we say that, but whilst we've got riders definitely trying to recover at the moment at 1 watts per kilo, we're seeing riders shooting out the back, actually, Matt, and that is not a good sign. But X100 comes through to the front. He's kicked and gone over to keep the pace up, now backing off, now moving to the back and allowing other riders to come forward. So riders here trying to balance staying in the group with recovery. And you know what? With a field like this, when you never know what tactics any of the other teams are going to throw at you, that is a really challenging job.
It is indeed, and I think the ability to almost be armour plated is going to be key here, because people are going to be chucking stuff at everybody. Now, here we go. The front of the race, or the front of the leading group of riders. That was interesting. Quadrelli there as we came in through the line, laid off the group, came through the line. What was probably 5 seconds down, 3 seconds down. He then chased quickly back into the group, got himself in position. Really, really clever riding there by Quadrelli. Clearly knows that starting in the back, get a few seconds in the bank, carry them with you. And if you're with this group and you all come across the line together, you're going to have that at the top. Other interesting thing here for me, Dromard has lost about half his time from the summit of the Jebel Hafeet to the start of this climb. Not bad going. He's still up the road and he's still going well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's looking like his pace is on, off, on, off, on, off at the moment, rather than a constant pace, which would indicate to me, Matt, he's on those steeper segments. Look at the gradient under the wheels at the moment, 10% here. But if Dromard is a minute or so up the road, he's highly likely to be kicking into that little peak before the stable, flat part of the climb.
And with the Jebel Hafeet climb, this is a more variable gradient. We've already seen slopes of 10, 11, 12%, and that is where the pace is going to differ. Remember, riders will want to rest if they're really suffering. When you go over a steep section and onto a flat section, you'll ease right out, and I think we're seeing that from Dromard, whereas the guys who are feeling fresh and strong will push through the top of a steep section, push through the flat sections, and kick again. But this is going to be a case of deja vu, real Groundhog Day for the riders now, because at the end of stage 4, we climbed the Jebel Hafeet. At the end of stage 5, guess what? We're back on the Jebel Hafeet, and this is a real psychologically hard climb for the riders, hitting it again so soon. So category 4, onto the final climb at 62.5k, 55k in The group in category 3 are through all of their sprints, and they are now on the run into that final climb. Category number 2 are at 51k, so they are coming into their penultimate sprint. That is only in a couple of 100 meters or so. And then category 1 are on the descent. So in terms of points, it is going to be category 2 who have some points up for grabs, and that is in the sprint. They are at 51.2k, and that sprint coming up at 51.8k. So 2 more sprints for category 2. Categories 3 and 4 having done with the sprints for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. So category 2, just shy of 500 meters before they come into that sprint. Category 1, they're still on that descent.
They are indeed. So we are just going to take 2 seconds. It's refuel time here. Our riders refueling on the move. We are here. Got to say a big thank you to the gang who keep us fueled up from the sports nutrition company. We use it almost as much as the riders do, it has to be said. So we'll be back with you in a few seconds.
Yeah.
There you go, super fast, because we've got the some of the best products in the business. Got to say a big thank you to the team who do look after us here at Full Speed Events. So in with the action. Category 4 on the mountain, the leader well on his way up that final climb. Category 3 rolling well on the way through, starting to break apart. Category 2, that you can see they are on their sprint. They're on their penultimate sprint on the way to the line. Category 1 just making the way down the mountain now. Category 2 are the riders who've just come through that sprint line, so they're going to be the next of the riders to score points. They'll be looking out for the scores. This is the dip down and the climb up in between. This is absolutely brutal section of the course. We drop down, we go round the roundabout, we dip, we then go up, and we climb up in a 2-stage move from the drop into the sprint. This is a sprint we've used on Sunday Race Club time and time again. It's a sprint that's been used on the race, on the championships before, and it can split riders.
Yeah, and if you want to join us on the Sunday Race Club, Sunday coming is when we start again for May. May, this Sunday, qualifier race number 1. Come and join us on the start line. Head over to MyWhoosh.com, click on the events page, click on the link for the Sunday Race Club, and you will find all the information you need there. If you have been enjoying the MyWhoosh Championships and you want to come and race on the MyWhoosh platform, you can race with some of your favourites, because they may have tired legs on Sunday, but I can guarantee some of the riders you have been watching on your screen over the last 4 and this stages and today will be there on the start line on Sunday.
They will indeed. So go to www.mywhoosh.com, download the app. It's available on iOS, on Windows and on Android. Get yourself on, get some riding in. And remember those qualifiers, there are prizes for our top 5 riders in each of the 4 categories, that's the same for men and women. Some big prizes on offer, so get signed up, jump on board, come and have a ride with us if we're out and riding on MyWhoosh, on whether it's on one of the many rides on there or whether it is the racing. Don't forget, of course, that teams are always getting prizes in the finals as well. And just as importantly, with 4 categories in the qualifiers and in the finals, you're going to find yourself a level over the course of the racing that gets you competitive racing. So jump on board, get the app downloaded, and make sure that you are jumping on board. I've had the pleasure of riding with Mr. X100 SS on here. I say with, it was brief. Before they dropped me, left me at the side of the road, or in my case in the pain caves, absolutely gasping. But I'd like to think I stayed with them for a little bit before they started trying, at least. But there are lots of different riders on there. And don't forget, of course, you can always get in touch with us. It's at Matt Fixer Pain on everything from Strava right through to social media. And of course, you can get in touch with Emma. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram.
That's the best way to get in touch. A big thank you to everybody who's got in touch, whether you are Filippo Quadrelli telling us exactly where you are after I put the play out on the coverage. Thank you, Filippo. Grazie, grazie, grazie. Mille grazie. Or whether you are one of our riders telling us how much this climb hurt on the way up and how hard you had to go. please do get in touch. We want to know. We want to see those pictures. We want to see them tagged with MyWhoosh, and we want to be looking and seeing just what you've got up to. We're here in the Full Speeds Event studio, bringing you the words, putting them to the pictures coming from MyWhoosh. And got to say, a brilliant job done, and some great riding on the way through. We're just in with Enrico Quadrelli, brother of Filippo. In fact, we've got both Quadrellis on the screen now. And this was a really good story yesterday, wasn't it? I mean, I actually loved this, that both riders were on. Then we were speculating, were they in the same place? They are. They can shout at each other. And that is fantastic, because wherever you are, and we've seen that with some of the teams, haven't we? There's a great picture of some of the women's team. I think there was 5 riders lined up side by side, and very differing styles. Some people on a big gear, some people spinning a low gear, but they were encouraging each other. It was brilliant to see.
Absolutely, and so we always make an assumption, isn't it, that it's a lone rider in their garage on their trainer, and you know, it's not. The teams are coming together in the same physical location, and the brothers doing that too here.
So these are riders on the way up. In fact, I've just got confirmation from Filippo that he's listening live to the coverage right now on the climb. So get a name check. We are not averse to giving you a name check. You put the message out. You message at Matt Fixpain or at Biking Emma. Give us a follow. We'll give you a follow back on social media. We absolutely love seeing what you're getting up to. How did you get on? We know that, for example, that Pim van Diemen, he did a run.
He didn't do just a run. He ran a half marathon last night at the end of the rest day.
Yeah, not what I would be doing. I don't know whether Burke can have done that. Now, gotta say, these two guys absolutely. We talked about brothers before. Now, Burke and Khan are on here. Burke and Khan coming and riding here. They're on the climb together. Hope you guys are getting lots of encouragement on the way through, keeping each other going. They are on the way up the climb. They're nearly at the top of the climb here. Now, great riding, because Burke has been challenging for the points. He was in second place. Now, I'm hoping he's going to hold on to that, because rest now, sprint. You've still got 3 sprints. You can get some more big points.
Well, so we've definitely got brothers on the teams at the moment. There's a big question, isn't there, whether we have any siblings. Well, we've got siblings. Do we have parent and child?
I can answer that. Yes.
There you go.
At least one. I'm not going to tell you who it is because that would be giving the game away. Somewhat, I know exactly who you are, Mr. AZ and LZ. But great to see. And get in touch. Let us know. Let us know. Have you got brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, family members? Are you just vaguely related because you met each other at one point, sat on the beach and said, oh, do you know what? I ride a bike too. Let us know. It's great to see those friendships that are formed, and we know lots of people riding and talking together on the Discord, on the vocal channels. And don't forget, of course, when you ride on MyWhoosh, you can talk, you can switch your microphone on, and you can have a conversation with the people who are around you out there and talking. You can guarantee if I'm on there, the microphone will be on pretty much all the time, because I can't get away from it. It's just not going to happen. So if I'm on Be Warned, the microphone will be on, and I'll be chatting away. As Emma says, I will commentate quite literally, even on eating ice cream.
Well, exit 100 is on the front, but Vink is on the back. This is still a large group at the moment. We've got 15 riders in this lead group. Noren has not made the cut, and Vujasin starts to push on the front.
So Vujasin on the front, Emma very quickly changing it without even a link in from the ice cream there to the race action. Okay, so let's see how these riders are getting on, and let's see how they're doing. Great to see that Lionel Vujasin still up in the mix. Let's see how they go down the slopes here. So let's see how that's going to transpose itself as we go into the flatlands. Emma, we're here in the studio at the moment and watching the riders coming in to the leveling off here. Now, I know that you're a DS Director Sportif for the teams. What would you be saying to the riders for this section where you run through, on the basis that you haven't got anybody on the climb? You've got the course, you know what is in front of you, you've looked and you studied this on the way through. what are you going to do? Are you going to tell the riders where they're heading or what they're going off?
Well, they are indeed heading. They're in Arabia, Matt, and they have got 70 kilometres to ride on stage 5 of the MyWhoosh Championships, the men's race, 1,735 metres of climbing. They are up and over the first halt category climb of the day. They have a category 1 climb still facing them. There are steep sections on that climb. It pushes up and it kicks, and there's only a 10k transition, and it's not a flat transition between the base of the halt category climb and the start of the category 1 climb. It's a big group, Matt, of category 1 riders. There's still 15 riders in that group at the front. It's going to be a really hard, that's my prediction, last 20k.
So what are you going to say to them? You've been in the team talk before. You've got this profile look. You've shown it to your riders. You've got the big dip. You've got this big rise for the sprint. Are you going to tell them to watch out for that section, or would you be saying go hard on the flat?
I would indeed be watching for that kick, because that kick is going to be the obvious place for an attack. You know, it's the obvious place to stretch, it's the obvious place to go, and it's the obvious place to whittle this group down before that final climb. But I don't think we are going to see the steadier state climbing that we saw on the first climb of the day play out on the final climb.
Right, let's see if Emma's prediction is correct on the way through. Finally managed to get her to commit to this. It's always great working with somebody who is a team manager as well as a coach, because you get a different insight from my highly addicted to cycle racing racer enthusiasm on the other side of the studio. So we have 4 categories underway, and racing in towards the finish are riders in categories 3 and 4 heading up the Jebel Hafeet of category 2. They are on the transition, as are category 1. However, remember, this climb at the finish has seen some explosive action before. Now here we go. You can just see category 1 go through the 50k marker here. So making the way in, going to be very interesting to see how they get on the way in and through. So they've just dropped down through the banner, and that was the way up the climb, basically.
Yes, so that was the start banner of the climb, being the finish banner indicating they're at the bottom of the descent.
It is, and that's one of the things that can catch riders out, isn't it? Because they think, oh, hang on, I've got a no, you've got a descent coming in. And having that knowledge is really key, isn't it? And whether you can remember the course because of the shape of the hills or the fact you've got a roundabout or a T-junction, really key. So that's why riding and racing on the platform regularly is important, isn't it, Emma? And the guys on here, I mean, we are looking at Cat 1. They are the top of the tree. You've riders in here who finish absolutely top-notch time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see this pack move on, they're continuing to race and they're continuing to ride here, just stretching out now that they've got onto the flatlands and picking the speed back up. So the speed now topping at around 50 kph as they are stretching this group. They're rested, they're recovered, and that's that last 20k to go kick.
It is Stefan Van Elst, Tim Cutler, line over Justin Martin's in here, being marked out by Vink. Cutler in there, Panizza in there as well. And some of the riders will, of course, know these roads because they will ride them out in real life. They'll literally have been around here. If you're looking to be in the UAE, of course, these are your home roads. You're going to be making your way around. They might not all be in the same order, and there'll be some bits that MyWhoosh have managed to connect together. That's some absolutely gems, but it's going to be really key to get this right. And we are just on the run into that big dip down that kicks us into the climb. We're on our way into the sprint. We're at 51.5k, so 300 meters to the start of the sprint banner. This X100 just laying off this group at the moment. Is he going to come in for a big kick in and through? He's quite a way back here, but he's should just get his timing right, I suspect. We're just watching a few others off the back here. Saeed Safrizad is miles behind. He's going to be looking for a big kick here, I think.
Well, let's see and take a look at what happens, because they are about to go underneath that start banner, indicating the start of sprint number 4.
So into the sprint go the leading group. Looks like Juan Hoyos looking to pick up a few points on the way through. Cutler on his wheel, using this as a great lead out. Will he be able to kick over the top? Hoyos with the blue gloves and the blue hat, being passed there by Martins. Here's the white helmet on this group, starting to come together with riders chasing from the back, coming in. And you can just see Michael Vink was right up in the mix of riders. He's not letting anybody go. We've just seen the rocketing shape of Said Safrazad come through. I think he may have the fastest time. In fact, he has. He goes through ahead of Vujasin, Kaminsky, Martins, Vink, and Cutler. But a reminder, this battle, we saw the KM guys on the climb. So Kayan's on the climb. Bert Kayan, the nearest rider to Fawcett, but both Fawcett and Kayan not in this leading group. So the battle for the sprints will continue a little bit further back down this group. These are riders still fighting for position. And Michael Vink scoring points in there. And we've got to remember that things can go wrong. We don't want that to happen to riders. But, you know, we've seen riders get ill before. Now we see riders on Grand Tours getting things like food poisoning or eating the wrong thing. And then all of a sudden it becomes wide open again. So never giving up, really, really key. And an opportunity for them to score some points until we see the likes of Fawcett and Kane go through.
That's it. It is not over until you cross that finish line. And the finish line that is the target is day 8, stage 7. The finish line there is the key one. But you've got to get to the finish line today. 70 kilometres, 5 sprints, 2 big climbs. 1,700 metres of climbing, and these 4 race categories are well and truly on their way. So category 4 have got less than 5 kilometres to go now. It is still an uphill run to that finish line, but the road is starting to run out for action for Catching Dromard. Category 1 have still got a significant way to go, 53.6 kilometres. They are on the run into sprint number 5, and it's Hoyas who is pushing on the front, because that sprint number 5, Matt, comes on the second part of this climb.
It does indeed. So these 2 steps, we talked about these quite a lot on the Sunday Race Club, but it bears repeating. The 2 steps of this climb, steep, biggest step for number 1, then you level off and it's fast across the plateau, and then another kick up on to the top, and this is really, really interesting. So let's see who is going to push here. SS starting to go on the front here. So is this a case of the UAE clan team pushing at the front to stop an attack going off the front? It's a very, very useful tactic, particularly when you've got somebody as strong as SS, who we've seen time and time again working for the team. And I think it was great to see him being rewarded up on the top of stage for a 4th place, top 5 place by him. And realistically, he is a rider who we see sacrificing himself for that team time and time again.
Absolutely, but we've got some real riders in here today, Matt, in this lead group still, with just coming up for 15 kilometres to go. Martins is in here, Vujasin, Vink, Van Elst, Kaminsky, Van Diemen, Safrazad, Popovic, Knudsen, all of these riders wanting to contest this final sprint. X100 has been pushing on for the day, and there you can see just coming into the mix. So a large number of UAE clan riders, but there are a lot of other riders from alternating teams. The Waffles, Italian Gelato, still in here.
There is, and interesting to see Michael Vink marking everything that moves. Any gap opens, he's on it at the moment. But, you know, even Vink, I know he's often called a machine. He's very, very strong. He can't race everything, so it could be interesting to see. Here we go into the sprint now. We saw the previous sprint being contested. These riders wanting to get a fast time through here. And once again, we've seen Said Safrazad lay off the back of the group. Mr. X100 has done the same, not by as much. He's kicking into this group. He's trying to keep in that draft as long as possible. He's then got to pick his pace up as he comes to the line. He's doing that. He's moved up into second now, 3rd place. This is the push for the line. And look at Said Safrazad in that polka dot skin suit go through the group.
Right through the middle, like a knife through butter.
Indeed, he came from a long way back through. That will put him up there, but not with the fastest time on his way through there. And I think he did a lot of work in the early part of that in the wind. The pack picked its pace up, and I think that Mayer has gone through. Really interesting result. That 5 points to Mayer, 4 to Safrazad, 3 to Mr. X100, who we saw put in a good time sprint in there, 2 to Panizza, and 1 to SS, with Michael Knudsen not scoring on the way through. So the results up. But remember, this is live. Personally, I don't think any of those riders will be on the top when we see Ross Fawcett and Bert Kane come through, because I think the pair of them will still be racing for this in a little while. Let's say that.
We shall see whether that comes to fruition after the race on the MyWhoosh results page of their website. But at the moment, we've got category 4 now, Matt, not far from the top of this climb.
So making our way in to the top, category 4, 67.27. Emma, just remind me again, where is our finish?
Yeah, so that is a good question. The finish banner for the climb comes at 69.3 kilometres. So they are indeed moving towards that. The finish line, 700 metres later.
And we've got a 2-minute gap for Florian Dromard here, Emma. He's at the very front of the race. I mean, he's the first person who's going to get to the top of that summit, unless he's abducted by aliens in the very top of this climb. It certainly looks to me like... I love the fact Emma laughs at that, because I must have used that in commentary at some point before. So Florian Dromard at the front here. He's got a gap that is pretty much insurmountable, unless he blows badly. But we do see that. I mean, we see riders at the top of big climbs. They push into the red and they just go to pieces. We've all had it. I mean, I raced at a much slower level, but when I've raced, I've literally got to within a mile of the finish, and I have blown so badly, I've had to get off the bike and walk up the final few rises to the finish line.
I'm not sure I'd admit that if I were you.
It's true. I'm quite happy to admit my mistakes. I really messed up.
We have seen it. You know, I can remember a very specific Sunday race club where we saw Rebecca Gilson go hard. I think it was Bauer she was chasing. Bauer had gone down the road. Gilson was chasing hard. Gilson's heart rate, we saw it rise, we saw it rise, we saw it rise. And at 207 beats per minute, she blew. And it was like she'd stopped. And the rest of the packs just went boom, 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 boom as she went backwards. Well, it looked like she was going backwards because she had just chased so hard. She'd gone so far into the red, she just couldn't continue.
And that then means you lose so much time if you're not careful. So the gap should be enough for Florian Dromard to be the first over the line. He's got to get the timing right. And I think he's looking pretty smart about how he's doing that. He looks in control to me, like he knows what he's doing. He doesn't look to me like he's not keeping a steady pace. He's pushing. That heart rate's there, but it's not spiking too much. Hopefully we'll see him up to the top, because that's a big old brave move by Florian Dromard, and maybe he'll get the reward at the end. We'll keep an eye on him in category 4. In category 3, you can see this is our leading pack of riders. So you can see in here you've got Stefan Hedina leading this group up the climb, but he's got company, and all of the key protagonists in here. Phillips to Manuan in that group as well. Dromard, though, well, still at 170 beats per minute. 2 minutes still to the group behind. Emma, that group behind is fracturing a little bit, isn't it? I think Suarez is losing time by the look of that. We just need to get that stabilised in itself, I think. But I think looks to me like he's lost about 1 minute or so.
Yeah, I think we've got a chase group of 4. Look, there we are. So as Dromard has about 400 metres to go till he'll see that polka dot banner signifying the end of the climb. Then 700 metres to the finish line. This is the chase group of 4. Quadrelli, Thayeb, Maillard and Ospina are the 4 riders in here. Suarez is indeed the rider who has been gapped.
So Dromard started the day 13 minutes 35 down on Suarez, who is the leader in yellow, who is behind. So Dromard can take the points up here for the mountains. He could take the stage win. And remember, there is a good size prize for stage winner, which is really important. But he's not going to take that yellow jersey, I don't think. Looking at second place, you've got Hernandez, Ospina Hernandez. He's 5 minutes down on Suarez, so he needs to continue to open up the gap on Suarez. So Suarez is losing time, but not enough, I think, at the moment to lose position to Ospina Hernandez, who's in that group. So Carlos A. Ospina on your screens is Carlos Ospina Hernandez. He's at 5 minutes on Suarez, Michael Suarez, who's a rider behind. Now, Quadrelli doing a great ride, as we know. He's not going to trouble anybody in terms of the overall. Boothayab, he's in 8th. He's 18 minutes down again. So this is really about getting the King of the Mountains points and Suarez not blowing any further and not losing substantial amounts of time from here upwards. Maillard, possibly the only other rider in the mix. He's at 6 minutes in 3rd place. So again, between Espina Hernandez and Maillard, there is a battle, but they are together on the road. And I don't think they're going to let each other go out of their sight, are they?
Well, I think this is about Suarez really modulating his power and thinking very cleverly about how does he reserve his energy, but how does he get to the top of the climb without losing too much and giving it away to the riders ahead of him. So he really needs to think about what the others are doing, what he's doing, and ride smart.
Well, let's see what happens. Dromard up at the top of the road. He's just gone through the banner for the polka dot jersey for the mountain points. And meanwhile, you can just see he's still got a way to go around the finishing turns here, up and in to the finish. He's got just over 500 meters to go. And this is absolutely purgatory at 12%.
Yeah, how can you think you've got a 700-meter run into the finish once the mountain segment is over, and it just kicks again up to nearly 12%. They're still currently at 8%. This is a steep run into the finish, but you can see they're going to turn around this line. They're going to turn around the corner. And at some point in time, he is going to take a big sigh of relief because he is going to see that finish banner, but not yet.
Not yet, because it comes at 70k. But if you're watching on the show, watching the racing on stage 4, just a quick heads up, the finish line is not in exactly the same place. We do not climb quite as far up the mountain today as we did then. So we're not going to go right up to the turn. You can now see the banner in front. It's like yellow arch. You can probably just about pick that out just underneath the shoulder of the mountain, that pinnacle peak to the left. And then it drops down to the yellow gantry. That's your finishing line. Big breath time then, clearly, Emma.
Absolutely. Big, deep breath once he crosses that line because he's only got 200 metres until Dromard goes under it. It is absolutely challenging. It's 10% at the moment. So the last 200 metres kick 10% under the rider's wheels, but Dromard kicks as well. He's just kicked to 8 watts per kilo. He wants that line to come. It's hard. His legs are hurting. I can imagine the fire in his legs, but the pack behind, they're 2.5 minutes behind him. So Dromard is looking exceptionally safe at this moment to come over the line in first place.
Well, I think he could have stopped and had a coffee with us in France here. So chapeau to Florian Dromard. He approaches the gantry. He's going to be your stage winner here today. The Frenchman makes the trip underneath the yellow finishing banner. He's the first to finish. He had the gap. Meanwhile, behind it is Enrico Quadrelli. Quadrelli coming up to the King of the Mountains marker here. He's looking to score points in this. He's got a gap on Boothayab and on Carlos Espina Hernandez. And can he make this stick? Maillard is further back as well. This group of riders are now chasing Quadrelli, and Quadrelli is ascending here. He went for the King of the Mountains. Can he continue in for second in the stage? There is time to be had. Is he going to try and continue to push on? So category 4 up on the top of the mountain. Meanwhile, we have got an attack on the front of category 1 with Mr. X100 Juan Hoyos on the front and on the attack. There is a move that's taken them, I think it's 10 seconds clear at the moment from the rest of the group. And that looks like that is on the run in through towards the base of the mountain here. So this is about getting a little bit of time on the run in. These are your riders who are leading out category 1. They're going to hit the base of the climb. They are going to hit it first. They've got a little bit of sliding room to the big climbers behind. And the yellow jersey himself, who's tucked in here, Michael Vink.
Yeah, well, Michael Vink is tucked in there, but one rider just off the back there. Now, is that yet another tactic from Safrazad? Is he the rider off the back there? Is he now going to rush onto this group and then stay with the group for as long as possible up this climb?
I suspect he will, just to try and score as many points as he can. Smart running. Now, looking at Boothab here, he has got himself up in, tucked in behind the leaders here, but looks like at the moment it is Maya. So remember, as they came through underneath the polka dot butter, you saw Quadrelli, who was absolutely pinging here, but he is nowhere on the overall in terms of the top 10. He's not even in the top 10 in the overall, but what he is scoring big in the mountains. He put everything to get into the mountain positions in the right place. So here we go. This is the chase now to the line. This is about the overall. This is why you are seeing the riders like Boothab here continuing to push. He was in 8th overall starting today. Where will he be when we finish? You've got Maya in front. He's also pushing his way up towards the line. Every single one of these riders are trying to get to the line. Hernandez is pushing hard, but Maya for me is the rider here who is doing it right. Emma, he's in a great position in the overall. He's sitting in 3rd place. This is going to do him good. And the gap to Suarez, it's opened up. It's going to mean he is going to come out of this feeling positive.
Yeah, well, we're going to go into our individual time trial tomorrow. So the gaps that are across the peloton are going to be so important for our riders. And Maillard pushing on here to get as many seconds as possible on his competitors.
So he moves briefly into that yellow jersey. We're going to see if he's going to be in there. They're going to push in for the line. It's going to be Thayab who's going to come in next position. He's going to be our next rider in through the line. He comes over. Then it is going to be Ospina Hernandez, who now moves into yellow on the road. We've got to wait till Suarez comes up to see where he is in position. Meanwhile, you can see the riders now on the steep sections here. 11% slopes for Mr. X100 with one horse in front. But look behind, who's coming? It looks to me like SS and Michael Vink are doing a bit of a time trial up to the road captain, up to Mr. X100. They've got company though. Martin Martins, Pim Van Diamond in there. Michael Kaminsky, Michael Knudsen. A who's who of racing at this MyWhoosh Championships.
Well, Michael Vink is towing the rest of the pack up to the back of Hoyas's wheel. Hoyas had put an attack in early on the lower slopes of this final climb. Vink wanting to close the gap. Knudsen following. Kaminsky as well. Van Diemen, Safrazad and Cutler all following that wink of Vink's.
The wink of Vink. I think there was, to be fair. I think that's not wrong, because look at this. Vink is on the front. He's giving a wheel to Knudsen here, and Knudsen has jumped on the wheel. Now, if Vink and Knudsen can go up this together, not only will Vink be extending his lead in the overall, but Michael Knudsen is looking to score big points in the mountains competition. So if they can work together and snap a pin Van Diemen, remember, did not score on the climb of the Jebel Hafeet. This is where Knudsen could set this in stone, but what he can't afford to do is go too hard on the heels of Michael Vink and put himself in the red. So Vink and Knudsen need to talk, and they need to communicate, and they need to work together. Bit further back down the slopes, you can just see Cutler, Martins, Kaminsky all fighting to stay on the wheels, but the pressure is on. The racing is on in Category 1 and it's on in Category 3 here. Valencia at the front, but look at this. This is a group and they all want a piece of the action.
Well, they do indeed. They all want a piece of the action. And it is indeed Safrazad who goes over the top of Knudsen and Vink. Popovic is coming up to help out. So 3 teammates at the moment. Van Diemen, Cutler and Kaminsky, the riders back down the road. In fact, Van Diemen coming up onto the wheel. So Safrazad, Knudsen, Vink, Popovic and Van Diemen, the 5 riders now at the front of this group.
So let's get some identification for you so you can see who's here. The all-yellow skin suit, that is Michael Vink. The shaven-headed rider with the black shorts, that is going to be Michael Knudsen. At the front of that group, you've got Popovic. He's got the black helmet and the black shorts. They are right at the front, but the rest of this group are starting to pull back towards them once again. And SS at the moment is the rider after doing that work who has been distanced. Juan Hoyos, He is absolutely blowing chunks at the moment.
Yeah.
He's come off the front and he's heading back through this pack. He's got Zach Nair, and Nair, I think, is going to go past him in that yellow helmet and yellow shoes. We're back up with the front group here. So the rider with the red bandana at the very front, that is going to be Pin Van Damon. He is the rider going up into the lead at the moment up at the very front, but you can just see all these riders rotating round now that they've pulled back. The move made by Vink and by Knudsen.
Yeah, well, it's Vink and Knudsen going clear up the road is what they wanted. Vink wanted to tow his team, I think, away to take those King of the Mountain points and then ride off for the stage win, but no one was letting him do that. Safrazad closed it down, the rest came up onto the wheel, and now they are all back together again. They really don't want to tow a big group up this mountain.
They don't indeed. Now, Category 2, left-hand side of your screen, Caster Mayer is the rider who has opened up what is nearly a 50-second gap on Christian Maglio. Maglio, the yellow jersey holder, he's ahead of Quintero, he's ahead of Duque, and those riders are behind are chasing hard, but Duque is only sitting about 5 to 10 seconds off the rider Quintero. But Quintero has got a big gap to Maglio, so Maglio at the moment is chasing Caster Mayer hard. Caster Mayer versus Maglio. Emma, who's your money on in those two? Both very good climbers.
Absolutely, but Maglio has taken the win, yes, in stage 4 and stage 3 and stage 1. So on paper, it should indeed be Maglio who pushes on, but Mayer, you know, second on stage 3, fourth on stage 1. Can he do it? Can he stay clear?
Well, it's going to be a big ask. It's a very tight gap now. Taking a look into Category 3 here, you can see this is one pack who are together, and this contains all the big favourites in here. Hadina is in here. You've got Quadrelli, you've got Valencia in here. Noriega, Michael Phillips, who's been climbing like an absolute demon, and he is right in the mix as well. I think this is going to come down probably to the last kilometre. Meanwhile, Michael Vink on the attack in Category 1 again at 7.5, nearly 8 watts per kilo. Pablo Popovic coming after him to try and go clear. They don't want to tow up, say, Safrazad or Martin Martins, and Michael Knudsen is jumping on the wheel. You can just see Pim Van Damon in the yellow there as well. These riders are having to dig deep to follow Michael Vink up the slope. He's the race leader in the yellow skin suit. He's got the gap, but this is not the sort of acceleration that we normally see where he does the damage. He's got a secure lead at the top of the standings. It's going to be a big old gap, so let's see how they roll now. We are in with Category 3. You can see Michael Phillips is here. He's the rider in the polka dot jersey. He had 32 points. He was clear of Cajal, who had 20 points. He was clear of Gomez Valencia as well, who was just behind him. And I think Valencia is a rider who's at the front, who's going to take the points. So he goes through. Then it's going to be Phillips behind him. Then it's Quadrelli. This is going to be really interesting.
Well, this is going to be so close for the front because, you know, and the top 4 on GC are all within a minute of each other. So that yellow jersey is absolutely up for grabs today. And there is no guarantee Hadina is going to be wearing it tomorrow.
There isn't, and you've got the points as well on the climb. So Valencia comes through with the fastest time so far. This is going to be really interesting as Quadrelli comes up behind him. Then it's Nogueira, followed by Phillips, followed by Hadina. They are the top riders today. They are clear of the rest. The top 5 is going to be key. Who's going to be right in the mix at the top? Valencia is pushing on here, Emma. He's not content with just getting the points on the way through. Phillips has come through with the second fastest time. So Phillips has gone through with the second fastest time on the climb there. But it means that there's not enough points difference to take that lead away. Phillips will go away from this stage in the polka dot skin suit as the leader of the mountains competition. But can Valencia now do enough to push himself into the top spot? He could do this on this time difference up here, but he has got to really push against Hedina, and Hedina has to blow.
He has to absolutely kick, because in 5th place, Gomez Valencia, 5th on GC overnight. Now a 1:44 gap back. That's the biggest gap that we've got here at the moment, because the other gaps between the riders chasing are seconds. So can Gomez Valencia push on? It's 34 seconds back at the moment. He's got 34 seconds on Hedina. I don't think this gap is big enough, and I think he's going to run out of road. So as Gomez Valencia looks up, he sees that yellow banner. That is the finish banner today. He continues to push on to take as many seconds as he can off the riders behind, but Phillips behind in 2 can also see that finish banner now.
So Phillips is coming. Phillips is sitting in 2nd place overall. He is at 7 seconds to the rider in 1st place in GC, and he's looking to open the gap up on Hedina and take away the yellow jersey. It could be Phillips's, but at the moment it's going to be Gomez who's going to come across the line first. He's going to get the stage win here today. He will move up in GC. Daniel Valencia comes through. Now behind, you can see Phillips and Nogueira are on the way up here. Ismael Nogueira on an absolutely storming ride here today. He's putting in his best performance of the race. He's going to hit the line. He's going to go through. Ismael Nogueira comes through, taking top spot. Then it is going to be Michael Phillips. Phillips comes through. He's ahead of Quadrelli. And what's the time gap to Hedina? Hedina is fighting for that yellow jersey. He'll hold the white jersey, but he needs every second he can. What can he do? I think he's absolutely blown here. He's not even got a kick for the finish. Now, this is big news, because this is going to see a change in that yellow jersey, I think, when we come into tomorrow. Now, here we go. Our Category 2 riders coming up to the line for the King of the Mountains, and it is Carsten Meyer. He's got 1 minute 50 on the riders behind. Meyer is going to score big in the mountains here today, Emma, but this is really his big point score, isn't it? Is this more a run for the overall?
Well, if it's a run for the overall, 1 minute 50 is not going to do it. 5 minutes 13 back overnight. Carsten Meyer on GC, currently in 9th place. Now, this will move him up the standings and may well move him up the standings into the top 5, but it completely depends on what that group of riders behind him do. Duke and Quintero are leading that out. Maglio is there as well, but Meyer is the rider pushing on towards the finish line.
He is indeed. That's the right-hand side of your screen. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see the chasing group behind Vink. Michael Vink leading at the moment, 20 seconds or so up the road from Knudsen, Safrasad and Popovic. Then it is going to be Mr. X100. Pim Van Diemen has indeed been distanced here, but let's stay with our riders here in Category 2. Carsten Meyer with the fastest time up the climb, and I tell you what, he's not eased off all that much. Che Howeiler, though, he's on a monstrous kick here. He's running for the line here in the Masters jersey as our over 50 leader. And what can Che Howeiler do? He's going well. He's in 6th place overall, and his gap is not all that big behind, in front, of Carsten Meyer. He could be in danger of losing his position in the overall. Behind him, you can just see that Duque and Spratt are on the way up here. So it's not all over till these riders hit the line in terms of that overall competition. This is going to be really, really tight. And Maglio is the rider who is not on our screens at the moment, who is going to be losing time big style.
Yeah, absolutely. It is indeed Maglio's to lose at the moment, and those time gaps are what he needs to be keeping his eye on, because he is now nearly 2 minutes down.
So here we go. The riders continue to push. Carsten Meyer on his run into the line. Duque at 1 minute 21 with Howeiler really hovering around him. Then it's Sultan, Winfield, Spratt, Ruiz behind him, but Carsten Meyer surely has this in his grasp. It's going to be Carsten Meyer who's going to run to the line. He's going to take race of victory here today in Category 2, Stage 5 complete. The epic mountain stage is his. Behind him, though, Duque is pushing and he's pushing hard, as is Howeiler. But I think Mayer's going to jump up above Howeiler in the overall standings, because it's a long way from that corner to this finishing gantry.
It is a long way indeed, but these riders are coming through thick and fast. And if you look down there, the young rider Cam Winfield is also in the mix at the moment. They are continuing to trade places because the gaps are tiny. As we drop in with Howeiler, he is pushing on here. Maglio, where did Maglio come from? Because Maglio has pushed on now. Maglio is pushed on because he wants a great finish, and look at the bunch he is pulling up with him.
It's a big pack that's coming together here. They have got a gap to Duque. So Andres Duque going to go up through here. He's going to push on. He is second in the overall classification. He's wanting to hold on to that, if not move up. This is about every second. The time gaps are going to count. We've got a flat time trial stage to come. He doesn't need to save his mountain legs because it's a flat one. Here he goes. Big kick into the line. He comes across the line. He's going to come in at a second place in the stage. And look at Maglio now. He knows every second is going to count here. He won't want to lose the time. I think, though, he's going to lose the jersey because it was only 7 seconds. Let's see where they're going to be. This is going to be desperate stuff as they come in to the finish. It's a matter of seconds. It's going to be very, very tight. Let's see who's going to get it. The rest of the riders come through. Sultan comes through. Mayer, Winfield, Maglio, Ruiz and Spratt. What a finish in Category 2. Don't forget, the results are live at the moment. They will be unofficial until all of the riders are through and verified. So make sure you go onto the results webpage. Let's drop in with Category 1.
Yeah, so Category 1, Vink is clear. Vink is clear. Popovic in 2, Knudsen in 3, Safrazad in 4, X100 and Van Diemen. All these riders, you can see those 5 riders pushing up and around that bend, being led by Popovic there. Vink is the rider down the road. He is on the left-hand side of your screen, around 300 meters further down. It is just keeps stretching out. There's 1 hour 56 minutes of racing so far in this Category 1 races. X100 comes around the bend. You can see Safrazad, Knudsen and Popovic further up the road. There's about a 3-second gap now. So Vink in 1, Popovic, Knudsen, Safrazad all together as a chase group. X100 is doing the chasing to that group as he continues to push, continues to pull and continues to try and get back and close that gap.
And what he doesn't want to do is pull Pim Van Diemen into the group either here, does he, Emma? Because, of course, Pim Van Diemen is fighting in the mountains competition against Mr. X100's teammate Michael Knudsen. Knudsen's up the road and he should be able to take this. But look at the ascent here of the duo here. Mr. X100 and Pim Van Diemen is jumping on the back wheel here, and they are going to come up onto Knudsen. So it is not over in the points for the King of the Mountains by any stretch of the imagination. Remember, this is a Category 1 climb, so there are still big points to be had. There on the right of your screen, left-hand side, Michael Vink.
Well, the question is, Matt, should X100 tow Pim Van Diemen up there, or for his teammate Knudsen, should he sit now and make Van Diemen do all the work, because he is giving him a free tow? So X100 closes the back gap. He's bringing Pim Van Diemen back up onto the wheel of his I'm going to put my teeth back in.
Tell you what, you put your teeth back in. Shall I have a go?
Yeah, go on.
Come on then. So Michael Vink on the left-hand side, he's coming up to the matter. Emma's covered already 4 race finishes. I'm not surprised she's running out of words. So here we go. Michael Vink is going to come up to the mountaintop banner. This is the top of the Jebel Hafeet timed segment. It's not the top of the climb for our riders. He's got a right turn and a long sweeping left turn to get up to the yellow gantry, the finishing line of the stage behind, though. This is about positions. And Emma, now that you've got your teeth back in again, positions are key. What you were saying was really critical, wasn't it? Mr. X100 needs to gap Van Diemen, not tow him up.
Yeah, and that is what he has managed to do, because the last thing you want to do is tow the key competitor back up to your teammate. So Knudsen and Van Diemen 1 and 2 in that King of the Mountains competition coming in today. you know, you really do not want to tow Van Diemen back up and make it a competitive fight for the win. You want your teammate Knudsen to win this competition now, and you need to be instrumental in that.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. There was up there by Popovic to try and get Knudsen to come round him there. Now, if this was on positions rather than on time, that would be critical. But look at the climb time. Popovic has just taken a point from Knudsen there coming up. We're going to get that confirmed. Let's have a look. He has indeed taken, in fact, 2 points from him because, of course, this is 10, 8, 6, 4 and 2 points. So Van Diemen, instead of losing 4 points to Knudsen, has just lost 2 points in that competition. Will there be enough points left to change that? Well, I can't wait to look at the results to work out where everybody is. Now, Michael Vink is on his way. He's into the last 200 meters here of the climb. He's on the left of your screens. He's making his way up to the finish. Vink, who has taken a victory time and time again in this competition, the World Tour level rider, is now continuing onwards. He's had a great season all the way through to becoming pro on the Sunday Race Club. He's now going to come up here to take a victory in stage number 5. Michael Vink, doing what Michael Vink does best. It's a stage win once again. He comes through, he takes victory, he extends his race lead over the rest of the race field now. Behind Pablo Popovic is coming. He's going to be sitting in second place. He's got Van Diemen behind him. Now remember, that climb is over, so this is Popovic. Here he comes. We've not seen much of Pablo Popovic so far, but by goodness me, we hit the big mountains, and oh my goodness, he comes out to play. He had a great ride yesterday at the summit of this. We've gone over the Jebel Hafeet, and Popovic comes through in second position at the line.
Popovic lying in third overall on GC at the moment. Pim Van Diemen lying in 2. The distance between them is minimal on GC. It's about 14 seconds. So can Popovic take that 14 seconds off of Van Diemen today and move into second place as Van Diemen comes over the line in third?
And that was why Van Diemen was sort of pushing so hard coming up into the line. The time starting to come in on that overall as they come in for today's stage as SS continues to push the line after all that hard work. He's recovered really well. He's pushing behind Kaminski. Martins, Van Elst are coming as well. So it's SS, then Kaminski, then Martins, then Van Elst. They're going to be chased to the line by Mayer, by Knudsen and by Safrizad as they come up to the line. They are ahead of Tim Cutler, and then it's going to be Mr. X100 for the UAE clan team with Lionel Vujassin, the rider who will follow him through. Vujassin on another good ride here today, but not able to stay with the express train that was Michael Vink and the leading riders.
Well, what an amazing ride by Martins and Van Elst to close down that gap to that group ahead of them and to come in and pick off Knudsen and Safrizad. So your results in category 1. This is stage 5 of the MyWhoosh Championships. The overall today, Michael Vink takes the win in 2 hours and 34 seconds. Pablo Popovic from the UAE clan team in 2. Pim Van Diemen in 3. SS in 4, Kaminski in 5, Martins in 6, Van Elst in 7th, Mayer in 8, Knudsen in 9th, and Safrizad rounding out the top 10. Now, it's the time gaps today that are going to be important, and the time gaps that are going to be showing us what the GC will be tomorrow.
And I've done my maths, which is never as good as Emma's, but it looks to me like we have Michael Vink extending his lead at the front. Then we are going to see a reversal with Pablo Popovic today climbing his way up into second place, but he is only a few seconds, a handful of seconds above Pim Van Diemen. That is where I make it. This is going to be a really interesting run out as we go into our time trial tomorrow. We have a 40k time trial for the men. My name is Matt Payne. I've brought you all the action here today. I was joined by Emma Martin after she completed the women's race on the mic for us. And Emma, that time trial is going to be key. I'm looking forward to that. But lots of action to look back on this. Where can we catch up with you if the riders or the viewers want to get in touch?
Oh, please do, at Biking Emma on Instagram.
Don't forget you can catch up with me. It's Matt Fixpain, and make sure you follow at MyWhoosh on social media. Download the app, jump on board, and get yourself out and riding on here. We're back for the time trial for the 40k and the 185 metres in the men. The women also on their time trial distance as well. And again, there will be a decisive who has done too much today, who has saved enough for tomorrow. 2 stages left. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action from all of the team at MyWhoosh, from Emma and myself. Stay safe. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.